not the Stephen King I want you to be. Like, you know what I mean?
I'm just wrapped in it. I don't know how else to say it. It's like it's just seduced me.
I just think that there could have been so many better ways to come up with Han Solo. Like, that's his name. Like, that's who he is.
For me, every beat of this was super satisfying.
Oh,
Like,
sure. That I mean, I don't know if your dicks are hard, but mine is. Like,
You actually said that out loud in the theater.
and yep, I got all the notifications everywhere. We are officially live. Long Walk Short Drink episode 49. I am Palmer, broadcasting and podcasting to you from Dayton, Ohio.
I am Dave, podcasting to you from Northfield, Minnesota.
And joining us is Long Walk Short Drink cast member.
Hey, it's Twinkie, everybody. It's me.
Hey, it's Twinkie.
I'm here.
Don't you fucking
I'm here.
call me Twinkie. Don't you fucking call me Twinkie.
We are so delighted to have you back. We missed you.
Oh,
I'm from a new basement in Denver, Colorado. It's like 3 miles away from my old basement. But we're moved, kind of. I think maybe you can see some boxes in the background if you're lucky. But, you know, alive, breathing after moving with 2 kids. So I was able to see Solo. Maybe another episode of Infinity War. I was able to sneak away to see that. So I have been able to see some stuff. But mostly watching Mad Max in my underwear. Is still what I'm doing.
We've already commented on it off the air, but I got to bring it up that you are sans mullet now.
It's true. You know, there's a season for all things.
Yeah.
And sooner or later, when you get that look, from my wonderful partner who puts up with just an awful lot. She does. She really puts up with a lot. You got to cut her a break every now and then. And yes, sans mullet now.
Because talking about Mad Max and then talking about the mullet, and I am going to write a movie. You are gonna regrow the mullet because we're gonna make this movie where. And I don't care if fucking Hollywood steals it. We're still going to make it because it'll be our movie. So I'm just going to lay it all out now.
Well, they're constantly ripping things off this podcast. So I don't even know why you're doing it.
Well,
you're just asking for it.
So have you hear us break down our analytics like that? We have 2 major markets in California. Like, so they're like, we are of our group of listeners, there are large groups in California, which we don't know anybody in those areas. So
right.
So I think there is a direct line on this podcast that are so. My
buddy Steve Spiel. Hey Steve.
Yeah.
Steve Spielberg. How you doing, Stevie?
I just read an article today that they greenlit a Jared Leto Joker movie. They are letting him go with his like expanded Joker. They're building off of Suicide Squad, which I don't understand how they can build off of that. Let's try to build a mansion on sand, like, because that's gonna work. But they're moving forward with the Jared Leto Joker movie. So I mean, case in point that Hollywood is listening. But this is the movie that I'm going to write for us. So it's just the turn of the apocalypse, whatever it happens to be, whether it's zombies or aliens or like an asteroid or whatever. But it's just the turn of the apocalypse, and we're 2 men that have dealt with the change in society in 2 different ways. And you are the cannibal, like that character I described with like the crowbar. Mm-hmm. And I'm like me. and like you're just chasing me across the desert, like it's like this pursuit of like across the desert. I think that would
only
be...
if let's do some like filming in Death Valley. You know, like I want to.
Yes.
We're gonna. Yeah. We're not gonna do this green screen stuff. We're gonna location. Yeah.
I thought of Dave. You know that movie with Matt Damon and Casey Affleck, where they're in the desert and they're like, "I almost succumbed." Isn't that?
Yeah, and then I turned up. Jerry.
Yeah. I've never seen it. I only know, but I only know what you and Larry have talked about that movie. But I picture like Mad Max meets that movie, and it stars Twinkie and me in the desert. Like,
I'm so in. You got a name for this thing? This masterpiece?
Not yet, but it's gonna be awesome when it happens. Like, it's just gonna be great.
I'm in.
That does sound.
I mean, we're not going to get my agent involved or anything. We're just
all right.
I'm signing right now.
Sweet. So sweet. Oh man.
So Paul, are you drinking tonight?
I am. I already got one open. We can open another one though, so we can do the whole
Oh
round.
Yeah.
I am drinking. I have a few of these. Travelers grapefruit, or I'm sorry, pineapple shandy. Are delicious.
Whoa,
very summery.
Good. Where is it? Who's the manufacturer?
Traveler is the brewery.
Oh, Traveler's the brewery.
The Traveler Beer Company. They their like normal one is a grapefruit shandy, which is very good. And they do this limited in the summertime, and it's called Aloha Traveler Pineapple Shandy. It is delicious.
Nice.
That does sound good. I usually don't go for shandies, but pineapple shandy, it sounds like worth a taste, at least to me.
Yeah.
That's what she said. I'm just drinking Miller Lite.
Yeah, nice.
The one I have opened is a standby. So.
Oh, nice.
Sticking with the dihydrogen oxide tonight.
No, that's fine. That's totally understandable. You guys have
La
like
Familia. Yeah,
you had the plague go through your house.
That's right.
Like,
that's
while you were moving.
Somehow, and we'll talk about this maybe at some point, like the next week. If I can survive the next week, I'm good. But somehow I've avoided the sickness, which I have no idea why.
Yeah,
but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I certainly hope you can. Avoid that sickness. All right, let's do this for our live listeners as well.
On 3 and 3. Yeah, our whole 0 live listeners.
They're not used to us starting on time.
No, they're not. They're like scrambling. They're like, normally we have 45 fucking minutes before they're on. Oh, not tonight. Not tonight. Let's talk about all the cool shit before they get on. And then when it says like we have 2 viewers, we'll be like, all right, so that's it, guys. Awesome. Solo.
Nice talking.
Great movie.
So we definitely intend to talk some Solo. Palmer, I know you got a bunch of cool stuff that's been happening. I don't think we as friends, and certainly not as the podcast, have heard from Twinkie since like the very start of the year. So Twinkie, catch us up on everything you're willing to share on mic.
Yes, please.
Oh man. So moving has been the primary thing. You know, I tore down my whole setup here, which I'd been using to podcast, and put in a storage unit because trying to sell the house, you know, they want certain looks and whatever. And so we for the better part of the last 5 months have been cleaning and fixing and trying to keep up on the house, because this house is a new construction. So we're kind of following the process along and keeping up with that while we're trying to sell our other house, and then time it so we sold the house, our previous house. We rented it back for like a week and a half from the new homeowners and then moved here. And so all of that is just logistical ridiculousness. Just trying to keep up with all of it. Beyond that, I've been able to sneak away and catch a few movies. But really,
you built the house? The house you're in now, you had built? Or?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a builder. It's it's a tract home. It's the builder builds hundreds of houses a year, but you want to stay up on it and make sure that
you're the first ones to live in it, but you didn't necessarily order that house. It was
I did. We did.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Gotcha. We designed it, and I mean, they give you like minimal options. Here's these 3 layouts. here's the 6 types of cabinets you can choose. Here's the, and so there's at least the illusion of choice.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nice. It's good. I love it. It's a great location. It's a little closer to where I work, the airport. It allows me to tell really stupid jokes. For example, the sporting goods company Dick's sponsors a stadium nearby us that the Colorado Rapids, the professional hockey or soccer team, plays at, and rugby. But now I get to tell people I wake up in the morning and see Dick's.
Nice.
So that's worth the mortgage payment right there.
Absolutely. Oh, I love.
Who doesn't want to wake up and hear Dick's or see Dick's? So.
Yeah.
Let's see what else. But I haven't. I've been trying to get the whole streaming thing working. I've got a green screen that I think will allow me to kind of utilize the space a little bit better. I will hopefully have some time, which is the primary driver in any of this.
Right.
There's plenty of video games to be played, that's for sure. But no, just doing family life. No real like traveling or anything else. I have been trying to just get everything ready to go so that the second half of the year can be a little more on the creative side for me.
Awesome.
Get everything established. So yeah, that's where I'm at in June. Hoping
what are you playing right
now? Right. So right now I have a couple old PC games that I've been trying to get set up and see if I could stream those. They're adventure games from a company called Sierra.
What, like Bard's Tale?
One of them is called Codename Iceman.
Okay.
And the other one's like a Robin Hood game.
Oh, okay.
And these are from like the early 90s of PC gaming. So we're talking minimal, like, let's see,
like King's Quest.
VGA, yeah. So like 256 colors. And, this would be like probably like NES, Super NES or Sega Genesis type, like that era of games.
Yeah.
And so my goal is to do late night when I get home from work on Thursday nights for a couple hours and appeal to people with kind of retro game experience. Probably some new games, but more independent. I'm not going to be playing like if you are familiar with games like Fortnite, which is a really popular game.
Right.
It's an arena shooter game, really pop. I mean, they make $130 million a week.
Yeah. Or PUBG. PUBG's
yeah.
One.
Right. So although those games are not, I'm an old now, and so olds are restricted from playing certain games that require like twitch reflexes, of which those are. So yeah, I turn-based strategy, adventure,
awesome.
Just games that I can enjoy. I think another angle I'll probably take is like learn to play. So if people are interested or just want to take a peek, but they're uncomfortable with that type of game, they could watch my stream and I'll be more verbal and talking like why I'm making certain decisions or why I'm doing what I'm doing. And it helps generate interest for a game, which is good. If you have a game that you like, you want to give it exposure. It'll be minimal exposure for someone like me who streams, but exposure all the same. And then hopefully people buy it and then the people can keep making more of that game, which is kind of the end goal. It's why you go see movies, right? You want to go see X movie because if they sell enough tickets, hopefully they'll make another movie of that. So
exactly. Yeah, well, unless like you're the only one that likes it, and then you only get that one.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Speaking of which, I just watched. What's the guy that directed The Fifth Element? His movie that just came out.
Oh yeah. Luc Besson.
Yeah.
And Valerian.
I just watched it. Like that was fantastic. Like it was really enjoyable.
I saw it's on Amazon Prime and I haven't sat down to watch it yet.
Yeah. But again, that's one of those ones like I enjoyed it but I can totally see why it's not ever going to get a sequel. It's so depressing. I love those King's Quest and like those old Sierra days, man. Those games. There's a guy who worked for Sierra, who has a really awesome YouTube channel that's all about old retro gaming. I've watched a few of his episodes. I'll have to send some of those to you because it's really awesome. He sometimes he'll get some of his old coworkers on, and they'll talk about those days because they had like helplines, like you could call and like get like helplines on games and everything. And
they were 900 numbers. You paid
yeah, yeah. And
not those kind of 1-900 numbers, but
and
the good kind.
and so but that's really, but those games were relentless. Those have popped up on a few lists where like King's Quest, especially, where there's just like some innocuous clue that's like early on in the game.
Oh yeah, I mean
you could get like you could get like 40 hours into the game and be like, so do you remember that blue mouse that was on the third screen that you just like walked right by? And without that, you're not going to be able to progress. And your only choice is to like start all over. Yeah, to start all over.
You know, it's like if you talk about the movie industry, right? And the first movies that were made were essentially, there's a stage over there, put a camera here, and then people act like they're in a play, and we'll film it, and we'll have a movie.
Right.
And a lot of early video games were essentially board game components that were pulled in, or like tabletop RPG, like for Dungeons and Dragons, for example, or other pen and paper games.
Sure.
So they would just pull what they did back then. And you know what? In your pen and paper game, when you were playing with your buddies and you were 2 hours in and you missed the quest, you could just say, okay, fine, well, I'll go back, and we picked up the blue mouse and now we're back. Right. What do we need to do? Right. Well, but then you play your video game, now you got to replay 3 hours of video game. So, you know, as the industry learned that it's okay to be challenging, it's not okay to be punishing, just like the movie industry learned, like, oh, we could move the camera, or we could move the people, or, you know, et cetera, et cetera.
Or we could move the sets, the people, and the camera all at the same time.
That's right. And then they grow, and that's why now you have video games that cost $200 million.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah. You know? And they're all like, and they're $60 for so long. And then, so I bought a Switch.
Nice.
Sold my PS4 and got a Switch, and I do not regret that decision at all. I did a little bit when the last God of War came out, because I heard that was fantastic, and I'll probably really regret it when The Last of Us comes out, because the first one, the sequel to The Last of Us, because the first one was so good.
Yeah, I'm middle of God of War right now.
Is it good? Like
it is.
Oh man!
And I've never played a God of War game.
Yeah,
ever.
Well,
and so it's a completely
like
different
this is
experience.
the one. Yeah, this is the one that if you like, it's not like any of the other ones.
Yeah.
So, because I tried to play the first one, and it was a lot of like quick time events, and I can't stand quick time. I think they're out in video games. I think there's still that punishing thing. Like,
sure,
there are people who enjoy quick time event games. I'm not one of those people. I just see that as punishment. So.
These are well designed, and I'll kind of transition real quickly. One of the things coming up this coming week is kind of like it's like the Oscars, but rolled into some sort of big promo. Is the Entertainment Expo E3 out in LA, and it's basically a time where video game designers, creators get together and then put out all their promotional material, and it's like a celebration of video games, and they have creators on to talk about the design process now, and they've really enhanced it to talk about how video games are made and why video games are made and who makes them and why they make them. And it's a really great experience to see behind the scenes. It's like when you buy that Blu-ray of the favorite movie, and you get to watch the behind the scenes, and you get to watch the director talk about the movie, and you get to watch the commentary tracks. That's what this is like. And also they promo all the new video games. And then, so that's coming up this weekend and into next weekend. And the following weekend is Comic-Con here in Denver, which I'm volunteering at again, and spending a whole day down there.
You got to get us some field reporting.
Yeah. I got to do a better job than I did last year.
Yeah.
I don't remember anything from last year.
You got to get some long walk, short drink cards and pass those out.
Yeah.
We got to get you all set up, man. Get a Twitter get your Twitter going with your hashtag.
Yeah,
I just love to see video and stuff of you there too.
Yeah,
like just little cell phone snippets.
Yeah, and it's great. I think Holly and the kids are going to head down on a different day, and just go for a shorter chunk of time. The volunteering will be like a 12-hour day, but the other time will just be a couple hours. But it's a great, this like coming week. Next year I need to just take the week off from work. I need to try to get it off because it's a really great time for me to indulge both like the passion for how to see that people are what create these things. I mean, it's all about people. It's all about the passion that people can bring to these projects, whether it's movies or games or comic books or, I mean, anything. It's great to see passionate people creating things. So.
Yep. I agree 100%. That's awesome.
That's so cool you can do that. the volunteer and all that and be a part of it.
Yeah, if I can get time off next year, which there's a pretty good chance I can, I'll probably volunteer a couple days because we honestly get free passes for next year. You get free passes for the following year, and they do try to incentivize people to come down or to go down.
And I mean, it's like even volunteering, you still get to be there. You still get to see all the like cosplay. You still get to see like all the like. I'm sure like once your shift is over, is the day done at that point with the comic? Like, I guess.
Well, for me it is, but I get breaks in there, and honestly, I just keep my badge on and I walk around, and me having the badge kind of helps me mentally break my probably insecurities and shyness and be willing to talk to people because they see the badge and they know that I'm just not some like idiot but I'm a volunteer. And so I'll ask people. Got my picture taken with a couple people last year and hope to do the same again.
Awesome.
It's really cool to see people really enjoying themselves and feeling like they can be who they really are and not get made fun of like they probably would at wherever they're walking down the street,
right.
Things like that.
I think though, for all the flack that shows like Big Bang Theory get, like, I think they really have helped to make that more mainstream where those people aren't necessarily I don't think they're getting ridiculed as much as they were when we were into that. You know what I mean? Like when we were trying to be open with being cool with all that stuff. Like,
I mean, even at work now, people make comments about it. It's so funny to me.
Yeah.
The same crazy. People who will, wear Denver Broncos t-shirts and hats and coats and pants and socks and foam fingers, still will find a way to rationalize in their mind making fun of someone who will dress up as a character that they really like.
Yeah.
Like, well, don't you do the same
exact thing? Yeah, like this. Yeah.
I'm not making fun of you. There's no reason why you're obviously passionate about this very specific athletic event or athletic team, and that's great. That's wonderful.
I think that comes though too with just like our age group. I think like it's much more. A lot of those lines are much more blurred, I think, with younger kids. I just bought a van from a really young kid, and I'm not trying to segue to that. I'm just like, this kid was super young, and when I saw him, I totally started stereotyping. Like, he was like really attractive and young, and like you could tell he was kind of a jock. And we had the longest conversation about Infinity War. Like, once the deal was done with the car, like we talked for probably 40 minutes about Star Wars and Infinity War and like going to the movies, and like totally would not have pegged him as like liking any of that stuff. And he thanked me at the end. He's like, thanks for being such an awesome customer, like, and not being so cut and dry. And I'm like, oh, no problem. Like I gave him, I did like hustle the podcast a little bit with him though. So of course I did.
That's funny. I just reminded me of the one person I've ever recommended the podcast to, which is probably a bad thing to say, but it's weird to recommend it to people that you know or don't want to know you. the way that you are. Anyway, but I did recommend it to a guy that fixed my cable or fixed the internet because I had explained why I needed video calls, and he was really cool about it. I think he said he was going to go listen to it right away. I don't know if he did, but
I have to tell you, like, Ash hustles the podcast more than any other person. Like, if you think if you think I hustle the podcast, it is like she will work it into any, like, there's to the point where I'm like, babe, not everybody needs to know I have a podcast.
You have sponsors. That's my favorite. You have sponsors. I love when last time you told us about this, you're like, you get your quote from her was like, but you have sponsors.
Oh,
you
yeah.
have sponsors. I love that.
She's like, you have sponsors. Like that was somehow totally like, I don't know, like validating, like that makes this legit.
We're kind of a big deal.
Like, because we signed up for the thing that any podcast can sign up for. So but yeah, no, she peddles the podcast off. Actually there's a few people that her intentional community that she was a part of before she graduated college with her undergrad, and that she still is a part of that community. I know at least like 3 or 4 of them that have started listening to the podcast, that they have come up to me in get-togethers and have been like, I just want you to know I put your podcast on for like the hour that I get ready for work in the morning, and I love it. Like, and it just like really awesome. And I'm like, well, what do you like about it? And she's like, it just, you guys really, like, you can tell you guys really know each other and you're really comfortable. And so you can just, it's the same thing that we've heard everybody say. Like, it's great to just, we get this like peek in and really get to know you guys because you're so comfortable on the air. So, I mean, which is really endearing. So
sure.
That's so nice to hear.
Yeah. Not to mention stunningly good looking.
Hey.
I don't want to brag at all.
If I start to get too ornery, sometimes the bride will be like, oh, Twinkie's on? The one with the voice? The hair? I'd be like, it's my girl.
Bride flirts with all of your friends.
My friends are hot. It's a problem. It's important not to have hot friends.
Shit the bride says is the one thing that I can share with Holly that she'll like enjoy. I mean, that she's just not really interested in the movies and which is totally fine. But the shit the bride stuff just cracks her up, and so I always like.
Cool.
You got any, Dave?
Oh sure, yeah. There was one in particular I wanted to have for tonight. She's been kind of on fire lately. Just saying. I'll do.
I always enjoy the ones that involve our illustrious leader. Those always bring a smile to my face.
Wait, which is the illustrious leader?
I refuse to say his name, of this great country of ours.
Those. Yeah, let me see. Well, mostly they're directed at me.
Those are my favorites.
What was the one the other day? It was just recently. It was I don't mind you on social media, but when you ignore me, be more interesting.
I'll do that one. So yeah, if Twinkie saw this in advance, as anyone can, I'll tweet them out as she says them. And there's a new bit. She did a bit emoji recently, which has just been the greatest thing to happen to me this year. Those things are so funny. They're laugh out. Well, like one time she sent me one recently. It was like her in a pug suit, like a life-size dog pug suit, with I think a pile of shit in the corner or something. I don't know. There's some weird stuff. One where she was like a bear was holding her. Anyway, they're so bizarre. But I found one, or she rather sent me one that is like her with a sword, like being unsheathed in front of her mouth. So it's kind of like she's being censored by the sword. Anyway, so that's the icon you can see if you go to Twitter. And @shitdubride says, still breaks my heart. I hope they let let your name be longer like they let the tweets, because @shitdubride says doesn't have the same ring to it. But in any event, so June 5th, she says to me, or no, I say to her, I don't have a problem, because we were talking about social media. And so I say to her, it's like, I don't have a problem with your use of social media, except when you're looking at your phone instead of paying attention to me. And she deadpans, and then you should be more interesting.
Yes. Things all of our brides just really want to say to us, but
Yep.
Dave's bride is willing to do it.
We even got one from actually since we last did a proper segment like this. Palmer had one. Then our text chain from Ash that was, and Double D had one from his wife that he called like, "Here's my shit to present."
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I wonder if we could dig those up maybe and read them. Yeah. One of them had to do a solo, which was fun.
Oh yeah, about not looking like Okay, I remember that.
Yeah. So I'll do two more. One of which is the Star Wars one. This one is a quick one from April 17th, where she says, "It must be so hard to be honest and good. It's so much more fun to be me." I don't remember what prompted. Oh, I don't. Yeah. So this one's from April 15th, and it's Star Wars themes. That's why I had it pulled out. I say, I'm tired of people shitting on George Lucas. And then she says immediately, then he shouldn't have shit on all of us.
So true.
Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah. There you go. Some shit to Brian says for you.
Oh, that is classic.
Palmer, what's been happening with you? When last we spoke, well, it was a Cabin Kid episode, so the sort of those are sort of, what do you call them? Like in a
like
TV show, it's like non-mythology or whatever.
2 episodes ago, was when I announced I quit my job, right?
Yeah.
And then last episode with Crams, I kind of talked about how I was going to start a business.
Oh yes, yeah, you did tease that.
Yeah.
Well, the van is not to live in down by the river.
Oh, okay. Actually,
I've been moving too.
You know what's funny is like that is my contingency. Like if I end up driving Ash away, like with all of these crazy harebrained schemes, I will at least have somewhere to live without having to move back into my friends' basements. So, So I have started purchasing things for my business, and I traded in my Juke, which I couldn't fit anything in, and bought a van, work van. So all I can think of, not all I can think of, but I have thought a couple times that how I am slowly becoming Roe. You're like, how did he drive vans for like so long? He just
Does your van look like not the Wolfmobile, but I'm picturing like the kind of blue van that he's in Teen Wolf at the beginning.
No, here, I'll text you a picture of it.
Oh, awesome.
I'll get that here in a second. But no, it's this really sweet. Oh, here, this is it. So we'll send this to message LWSD cast. Pow! So that should be coming here in a second. No, it's a Nissan NV200. It's just like a little if you've seen those like Sprinter vans or whatever, like the little Ford's got one, and Dodge, all the major ones have these little cargo vans where they're like basically the cross between a minivan and a panel van, where there's no like windows. It's all cargo and utility stuff, but it's not as big.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's sweet looking.
So
black tinted windows.
Twinkie's got a meme up here. When you're living at yes. That's me. Living in a van down by the river. And so that's all going good. I ordered my CNC machine. I started getting pieces for that, which is fantastic. I just picked up today my table saw and my planer and a couple other pieces of equipment that I'm going to install a dust collecting system and all that stuff and get ready for the CNC machine. I have about 2 to 3 weeks I have to wait for all the pieces to come in for the CNC machine. So in the meantime, I need to build a table to put it on because it's going to be a big one. So I have to build like a 4x8 bench to put this thing on. 4 foot by 8 foot bench.
I love it when you build benches. For some reason, I'm so amused by that.
Yeah,
because you have to build a lot of benches before you build the things.
Like a workbench. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. You're building one of those
right? Now that already. That I built the benches I have now to convert because I have such a small space, and so now that's all that's getting changed. So, but yeah, that's kind of where I am. Things have been going awesome, like totally positive, like total like game changer. I applied for some little jobs, which I have some interviews. I have an interview later this week and probably an interview next week. One job though that I'm kind of have my fingers crossed on is being a delivery person for one of the little microbrews around here.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Which would be a fantastic job. So I would totally I was like, these 3 jobs I would totally love to do. And like one of them is working in a center that like dictates calls for the deaf. One of them is working in a retail tool store, and then the other one is driving this delivery beer truck, which all of those things all 3 of them sound awesome to me. And I know to a lot of people they're like, oh, but they just all sound fantastic. And so, because you'd never take any of those home. And so Ash was like, well, if you could take your pick, which one would you want to do? I was like, oh, the delivery one all day long. Like, how awesome would it be to just like drive all day and like get to talk to people on your route and like about beer? Oh, fantastic. So
would you drive before you know it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Absolutely. So
would you drive your vehicle or would you drive like a truck?
I'm assuming I would drive one of theirs. So, but yeah, things are just like, that's the total cliff notes of it. I don't want to like waste all of our time because I really want to save time, like make sure we have a good chunk of time to talk about Solo and all our other things that we have to talk about. But so that's like the good cliff notes version of what I've been up to. Like, so I paid off all my debt. I am debt free except for my student loans. So I guess I'm not debt free. Do you see how
I think I paid off my student loans since we last talked. I didn't realize how far along they were. And
awesome.
That feels good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, I wish I was gonna pay them off. I'm actually in the process right now of the feds are reviewing if I qualify for, which I will because I taught for so long at I'll beep that out. Even though it's getting closed, because I taught so long there, I'm probably going to get like almost 18,000 wiped off the books.
Really? That's awesome.
Which will be fantastic. So
we used some of the proceeds from the sale of our house to pay off the rest of my wife's loans.
That's great.
Yeah,
awesome.
It's a burden lifted. I hope you're able to get some of that taken care of. So.
Oh yeah, no, it was great. It really, like I told Ash, just the way some of the things lined up. Like I had money in our savings account to cover some tools that I wanted to purchase, but it was more convenient to just put it back on a credit card that I had just paid off because the site already had the credit card saved, not our other account information saved. So I was like, well, I'll just put it on that and then I'll pay it off because I'll just move the money over and pay it off. And like I had gone like 2 days without that, and I just like I remember getting on and seeing that, and I'm like, no, fuck that, and I like paid it off real quick because I'm just like, no, you don't need to do that anymore, because that really it is amazing how fast that you can feel trapped by that and feel like I have to keep doing this like thing that's making me miserable because I have to pay for all the fun that I had previously, you know. So
yeah, agreed.
I don't know. It's a big trap, and I feel like this is the first time in my adulthood that I feel like I have like an upper hand in it, and I really can do anything. Like I broke down. I did our budget and figured that all up, and I only need to bring home like $1,200 a month to live because of all the debt that I paid off. I only need to bring home $1,200 a month to live the same lifestyle that we were living before without me working. So, which that's nothing. I can hustle $1,200 a month, no problem.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So,
fantastic.
It's great. It's like a whole new beginning, which is exactly what I wanted.
I feel like for me, when it comes to the money thing, because I have to retire when I'm 56, I can no longer work as an air traffic controller. It's just always on the front of my mind, like, okay, I have 18 years left.
Yeah.
You got to be ready to go when there's no, sure, I can get another job, but just not, it'd be at a different income level, of course. And I can't quit this job and go be an air traffic controller somewhere else. I mean, like that's the skill set I have. And so if it's going to be something else, that have to be something I'm developing along the way. And so,
yeah,
gotta have the plan in place now, which can be kind of lame.
No, I mean, I think if I would have had, if there would have been even a couple things different, I wouldn't have been able to do what I just did. And there's even things that could change in the near future that could like totally have made these choices, will put added stress that these choices, you know what I mean? Like, Ash could get pregnant in the next year. And that I think the first year would be the most critical if she were to get pregnant, that it would be the toughest in this first year. But after that, it would be, I think it would be fine. But even if it didn't, even if she were to get pregnant in this first year, we'd be okay. But that was one thing, like, we just don't have kids. It just made it a little easier to make this decision. We didn't own a house, like, we're just renting. That was another one where, we're not tied to this area. So if something were to happen and we needed to go somewhere else, we still could. The whole retirement thing is a little, and I know that's like the first thing that everybody was like, don't touch any of that. You're not supposed to touch it. And I get that. My financial advisor, though, he really did a breakdown for me that made sense, where he's like, if you're drowning in debt, you're going to save money by paying it off in the long run. Like, you'll save more money by paying it off now than paying it off for the next 20 years. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So we'll see.
You're going to be like Jay Pritchett from Modern Family. You're going to be a mogul.
I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I'm just going to try. Like, I just want to, even if I could just make stuff that I could just make enough to live off of, that would be good enough for me. I don't need to be a millionaire. Ash and I were talking about that too. Like, we don't need to be rolling in money. I don't want to be, I don't know if I have enough in me to hustle $1 million a year. You know what I mean? Like, that's a lot. That's just like a lot of work. But man, I could hustle 60 grand and make that stretch, like, no problem,
Yeah.
So,
well, the key is you got to get to the point where other people are hustling for you. See what I'm saying?
Right.
You're just chilling like Jay Pritchett and Modern Family in your house. Yeah. Other people are making closets.
Jay!
Good, man. You know what? It's way braver than I would ever be. No question about it. Starting a business terrifies me.
Yeah. And I mean, and it's like, and everybody's like, oh, well, let me know, you have a bunch of orders ready. Like, I told somebody yesterday, I was like, well, I quit my job and I'm going to start a business, a woodworking business. How many orders do you have? I don't even have the machine yet. Like, there's going to be time involved with this. And I'm really hoping, like, there's a learning curve involved, which I guess that could be our first segue to do a little bit of books here. So this is like starting with, here's some reading recommendations, long walk, short drink reading recommendations. So Make magazine is this really awesome magazine that kind of they sponsor like Adam Savage's channel on YouTube, if you've seen any of that. Jimmy DeRista does a lot of stuff for Make magazine. They publish these books. They get like people in the Make maker community. Like this one right here is written by the guy who founded Inventables, which is the company that creates the CNC machine that I ordered. So, and like this is like a textbook, but it's project based. So there's like 5 projects in here that teach you the fundamentals of this stuff. And this one's Fusion 360, which lets you do, it's all like 3-dimensional design, like CAD design, all the stuff I'm going to be using, as well as 3D animation. You can use this program for. It's a free program. So here's 2 book recommendations I would totally suggest. But these are what I'm using to help get through this learning curve piece.
Nice.
What do you new segment?
No.
Long walk, short drink, book recommendation.
No, because we always talk about what we're reading. So so I'm reading that. I'm reading those, and then I'm listening to. I finished Blood Meridian, which I have to tell you, that is just Cormac McCarthy. Like, that's just Cormac McCarthy. It's so fucking fantastic. I'm totally with you in Pumps. I have no idea what I listened to. I just know it was good and beautiful. Like,
yeah,
and horrendous. Like, it was so brutal.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
Yeah. But the judge is probably one of the best villains I've ever, or antagonists. I guess he's more of an antagonist. That like Dolores Umbridge, and then Randall, so there's like Dolores Umbridge, and then Randall Flagg, and then the judge, like all in the
nice.
top 3. He's so. Have you encountered Randall Flagg again yet? In any?
No, I've been on a big pause, but I know I will.
Okay, so you do know that he's like a recurring character that comes up, right? So
yeah.
I really think that the judge is like a a version of Randall Flagg that just made it into another universe, like by another author. Like, it's so good. So I finished that. I'm on another self-help book right now, is what I'm listening to. Unfuck Yourself, which was Double D's recommendation.
Oh yeah.
Which is, I did not know this. It is written and read by the author. The audiobook is read by the author, and he's a Scotsman. And so he has this amazing accent while he reads his book. So it's amazing.
That sounds fun.
Highly, highly, highly recommend it for all of our listeners out there and who are watching us live. Thank you, Moto. And that's probably Moto. I should bring up the screen so I can see the chat.
It is. I actually just brought it up on my phone for the first time.
Oh, yeah?
So I can see too.
Moto, you could just log in, buddy. Just log in, and then you could chat with us live.
It's true. Just need those iPhone headphones like Twinkie has there.
That's right.
And it'd work on from your phone.
But no, so our listeners should head over to audibletrial.com/LWSD and sign up for your free Audible trial and get your free audiobook. And download Unfuck Yourself or Blood Meridian. I would recommend either one of those. What are you listening to right now, Dave?
I'm still listening to a lot of like personal stuff, or like project-based stuff.
Yeah.
Actually, what I'm listening to, I didn't know if I was going to be able to do this, but I'm listening to these digitized tape letters that I sent the bride about 12 years ago.
I remember those.
Yeah, so I used to carry around this Palms, not the itty-bitty tape recorders that you see sometimes on TV, but like one that would hold full-size tapes. And the bride and I, the first year of our relationship, she lived in Duluth, Minnesota, and I lived in Kent, Ohio. And so we would record these things and send these tapes and send them back and forth. And there were a lot of guest stars, I guess. Palmer. We did an episode, a member of Palmer's Picks that I haven't gotten to yet. In fact, but I'm doing this as part of that Dog Days 10th anniversary expansive thing that I'm doing. My thought was that I might take the music-related segments and include them somehow. I don't know. I haven't gotten to enough of them, or I don't necessarily think that I will. And the first tape I listened to, in some ways they're like podcasts, but there's no host. But you do get you're like hanging out with someone through the day.
Yeah.
so that part of it is kind of interesting and fun to just sort of relive that. But, you know, at the same time, they're love letters in a way. So that stuff's tough to listen to myself doing that. But
doing that.
yeah.
I'm sure that's very endearing to the bride.
I don't know. It's rough. In fact, after the first one, I was like, I can't do this. I can't listen to these. I spent so long like digitizing the tapes, and then the first one I listened to a few weeks ago, I was like, yeah, that's not necessary. I can't. But she was gone for a couple days, and then I was in this similar space to where she was somewhere else, and this was I don't know. So there was something similar about this sort of. It's not even bachelordom, like especially if it's concentrated. Left to my own devices, I just like work on my stuff, my projects, right. Either there's stuff I've created myself or like whatever, making kind of, I don't know, collections of other people's. Anyway, I just do it for like 12, 13 hours a day. And so I was doing that these last couple of days and listening to these tape letters, and it was pretty fun. But right before I decided to try again, I had finally loaded Cujo on my phone. I'm like, I'm going to do this. Like now's the time, because I got caught up on WPLMR, which you can listen to, Palmer's first podcast. We did the 10th anniversary reposting, so it didn't live anywhere in the internet. Now it lives at mixcloud.com/DOL records. Highly recommend those. They're like mixtapes / with comedy sketches in between from Palmer for anyway, from 10 years ago. They're magnificent. So I was listening to those for a while. Yeah. Oh, I really enjoyed those.
Palmer all the time. That's one of the taglines.
Yeah. But there's a lot of guests on those too. So that's kind of what I have been listening to. But I definitely, Cujo's on the horizon, because I've been burning through these tape letters now. Nothing you can get from Audible, but
you should put together just a little mix sample of these tapes, like just so we can hear anything.
I wouldn't. Let's be clear. Like, I wouldn't mind a little bit of love talk from Dave. I don't.
Yeah.
I mean,
just like an audio trailer of just a sample. I'm just saying.
All right, I'll keep it in mind.
Yeah. Put that out there. Our listeners might appreciate it. Our whole 3 viewers. We're up to 3 viewers already.
Oh, outstanding!
Yeah, already at 8:51. I know what it is. It's because
they thought we'd start now.
At 8:45 we jumped up to 3 viewers, and I knew it was because we started late the last 2 times. Yeah. We have to be better about that. We should get like every other live session. We should know that we're going to just talk shop and start like a half hour early or something.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. We'll talk about that more. I got to show you that because we talked about this, and I've had this for 2 episodes. I'm waiting to show you this because we talked about these all the way back at when we talked Ready Player One. And you had your original one, and in amidst me quitting my job and like going through my existential crisis, one day I decided to just go wander around a dying Toys R Us, and look at this.
Oh shit!
They re-released a limited
face
edition
hugger
Mad Balls. This is an alien face hugger Mad Ball.
Oh, that gives me like the creeps.
He's even got a Wayland Yutani hat on him, just like from the Aliens. There's a whole series of these. There's 6 of them. I made a episode sheet for episode 49.
I saw that. Thank you. Yeah, I got it up.
So there's a Jason Voorhees, a Freddy Krueger, a Xenomorph, and the Facehugger. Alien got 2 of them. That's awesome. Is there a Michael Myers? Wow. I think.
Let's see. I'll share my screen here. So.
Oh, here 49. That's what we are. Yeah. Oh yeah. So, Predator, Freddy, Leatherface, Xenomorph, Facehugger, and Jason Voorhees. Like, who doesn't want that entire set of Mad Balls? That's all great ones. Oh, that's awesome.
All right, I'm sharing my screen now. Hopefully, so Twinkie, you can see these, and our YouTube viewers, or etc. So can you see them now? The Freddy and
yep.
Yeah, that's some intense looking stuff.
I know. I see. As a look at the eyeballs on that one that you got. Oh,
the facehugger one.
Oh, Mad
upsetting.
Balls.
What's the one in the bottom right corner?
Leatherface.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's intense.
That's good stuff.
Okay.
So I just thought it was hilarious that I'm walking around this, like, it was the saddest thing. It was the saddest visit to Toys R Us I've ever had in my entire life.
Man, yeah. That was brutal here.
Yeah. And I just happened upon this Mad Ball that happened to be about one of my favorite franchises ever. So or my favorite franchise. The Alien franchise.
Yeah, we got that show will come on someday. Whenever we feel like it.
Whenever we damn well please.
It'll come at the same time when the website comes up. How about that?
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So you mentioned Cujo. We talked a little. You want to just like, I have other King Corner stuff. We could finish that.
Yeah.
up.
Let me grab a quick beer and
do we need
jump into that.
Do we need to do a pee break? It's 9
I
o'clock.
don't need a full break. I have anotproblem reason for this. You'll see in a moment. I just need to step off camera for a heartbeat.
All right. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
You guys talk for a second.
No problem.
Maybe get started. I'm going to mute my mic. I'll be back like magic.
Let me just pull up this codename Iceman real quick for you, Palmer, while we're...
Codename Iceman?
I'll just like the I like
it. This is the game.
Yeah. Just the artwork for it. It might ring a bell. It wasn't like a very popular game. It's just that if you've ever been to GOG.com, now a sponsor of our show because I just said it, good old games, they sell all kinds of stuff. And one of them, I got to open a new window. One of they sell like all these old games, like $3 or something. It's really inexpensive because they're really not that good.
Not good games. I loved from this era. Seventh Guest was one of my favorites.
Right, sure. It was between like LucasArts and Sierra, and then like Seventh Guest was. Let's see, I don't remember who they were, but there was a few that were.
Was Sierra the same company that did Phantasmagoria?
Right. That was a little bit later, but yes.
Yeah, I was a huge fan. The first one was like it was just like a click through. The sequel to that, though, that game messed me up.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. There was some serious scientific moral implications in that game where like the whole time you're playing as the protagonist, you find out that who you thought was your father basically sent you to this nether realm where you were a clone of yourself, basically, where they like pieced together this version of you and sent that back, and then he raised that at like you,
sure,
and they kept the real son, and you like confront yourself at some point, this thing that was left to be experimented on.
That sounds awful.
Oh my gosh, that game was so like, I remember it was like one of the only games I ever played as a kid where I'm like, I shouldn't be playing this game. This is horrific. Ugh. Oh my
man,
God.
it's so loud. Sorry. Hang on a second.
What you got?
We
need to do, when you're ready to start streaming too, before you are ready to do that, we should do a private hangout where I can go over how to do the soundboard.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that you have that. It's actually, you don't even need a cable. You can, oh, look at those graphics. Yes. Yes.
And like you have to type in what you want the person to do.
Yeah. This is classic. Like, this is good, all good gaming right here.
The get shirt is one of the things the guy has to do. You can like drown if you walk in the water. Anyway, I will not bore you with further, but that's ooh. Oh, can we show this? Do we need to blur this out here?
Oh yeah, no, show it.
Yow!
Pixels.
Yeah. If you know what I'm saying.
She's got all 8 bits, if you know what I mean.
For podcast listeners, if you're not watching on YouTube.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, we are showing Codename Iceman, which is I could look up the specifics, but it's 1990 or 91, and it's obviously very pixelated and dated, and just the gameplay is not great. But it's fun to walk through some of these old games. And
I love that he was standing by a volleyball net, because for me, Iceman means only one thing. It's Top Gun. Yeah. And so he looks like he's about to play with the boys right there.
It actually turns into a submarine simulator, because you're a secret agent that's on a submarine and you have to pilot the submarine, and it is as bad as what that sounds. It is awful.
That's awesome.
But it's fun anyway. So, but let's back to Dave. I'm going to close this thing out here if I can figure it out.
Oh, so I'm back and I'm ready for the Stephen King corner.
Yes.
I'm rocking my Monster Squad Stephen King Rules shirt.
Your homemade Stephen King Rules shirt. Oh, I love it.
It's not actually homemade. Remember that Squadcast?
Yeah.
I was talking about. They have merchandise for Monster Squad basically, and this was one of them.
That's so awesome.
I actually ordered one for you too, but I got a notification that they were out of the size that I chose. And so I was like, they're like, do you want me to cancel the order? I'm like, well, no, just send me what you do have. So,
okay.
Yeah, if you go to squadcast.com, I believe
that's
they
fantastic.
have merch there. It's really comfortable too. Like it's, it's, yeah. So
that's awesome. God, is that awesome? Is that podcast still great? Like, is it still fun?
I don't know. It's hard to. Yes and no. Yeah. That's all I'll say. I've listened to the first few, and it's one of those things where it's like, you know them as their characters, and this is them as the actual people, yeah. 20, 30 years later, 30 years later. So Rudy's kind of irritating sometimes, and only because I don't know. It's definitely worth a try. It is so similar to Long Walk Short Drink. It just, we happened, instead of making the stuff that we made as teenagers, they were in Monster Squad.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
So otherwise, it's pretty similar. They talk about a lot of similar things, except for they're kind of in the industry still, and do cons and stuff. And I think that Squad doc, which I think the documentary about Monster Squad and the kind of cult phenomenon that Andre Grauer, fuck. I can never get their names right. I think I'm calling them by the actor that. Anyway, the one that Sean is making. I think they're still making it. I think they're still filming it, actually. So I really think they pivoted from the podcast to the documentary at the start of 2018. But there's still a bunch of episodes. So if you search Squadcast, you can hear that podcast, which is fun. But also you can get this shirt, which rocks. So our rules, the shirt rules, as does Stephen King. So yeah, so I know you got the new hardcover, right?
That is, I do have that. I got this. This is the newest one, his 2018 The Outsider. I started it. It's brutal right from the beginning. I saw him doing the press junket circuit. He popped up all over the talk shows. The more interviews I see with Stephen King now and later in life, I guess it's funny. He has a really bad rivalry with
Patterson.
Yeah. James Patterson.
I remember you telling me about that.
Really bad one. To the point that James Patterson wrote a mystery called Who Killed Stephen King, and then they decided not to publish it. And I mean, just Stephen King just shits all over him. And so there's this there's this interview with him on the Colbert on the Tonight Show with Colbert. Is it Tonight Show or Late Night? Late Night with Colbert. Jeez. Yeah. And Yeah, he just like shits all over James Patterson like out of the blue, and I'm just like, oh man. So like every now and then when I hear Stephen King actually being Stephen King, every now and then he's kind of like Rudy is for me, where it's just like I'm just like, oh, you're not the Stephen King I want you to be, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
which is exactly what that is, like, so it's just totally me being me and not anything. Like, he is who he is. So,
well, that's one of the things that I would say about the tape letters that I've been listening to from 10 years ago as well. Just
really?
Oh, you're so not the guy I want you to be in this moment.
Yeah.
I think that.
I mean, and I love the James Patterson stuff. Like, that shit's all funny. It's just every now and then I guess it just, every time I start to feel this way, I'm like, well, he is Stephen King. Like, he just has, it's not arrogance. It's just total confidence because he has proven himself. Like, I think he's like one of the few authors that gets to like, I used to have a hard time when he would give commentary on other authors, just like, well, who the fuck is this guy? He's just Stephen King, but then it's like, no, he's Stephen King. I think he has some way of saying, like, there's some kind of clout that comes with his opinion. You know what I mean? Because he is Stephen King.
Well, it's not all bad either. He's pretty generous with praise at times, which I have a Dave's Digs that I want to just come back to, put a pin in it, just to tease. Part of it is that like he likes it too. So I think his opinion means something, right?
Yeah. I think that's totally. It's just, if he doesn't, he's, as much as he praises things that he does like, he's really quick to, like, in a really good Stephen King way, rip down something that he doesn't like. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I guess I haven't had to experience that much, but that probably would bum me out, especially if it was something I liked.
Right. And I can't even see, and I'm really bad about this. It's just this vibe sometimes when you hear, and I have to remind myself, it's where he comes off as arrogant, and maybe that's the wrong word for it, but then at the end of the day, I'm like, he's Stephen fucking King. Like, that's not arrogant. That's confidence in knowing, because he has for 40 years been doing this. You know what I'm like? So, and I think there's something like, just like anybody that's done anything with moderate success for 40 years, they become a quote unquote authority on that thing, and I think that he's reached that point. I think if he would have been giving those same if he would have had that same air to him in the 80s when his career was like skyrocketing, it would have been totally different. It's always this growth with him, which is one of the reasons why I love him. So, I got that.
Ahead. Sorry.
No. Oh, go ahead. You go ahead.
I thought I might chime in with my bit only because it actually is him talking. I haven't heard any more of the word.
Yeah. Go ahead.
But I did. It occurred to me last week. It's been occurring to me, and I finally took action. That there's a few movies that came out last year that I would really love to see whatever supplementary material exists. Like Twinkie was talking about earlier, it can be so much fun and enrich your appreciation for something to get to see the behind the scenes, hear the commentaries, and I've always been a big proponent of that, and I've always been very interested in it. So I had this list of movies in my head, and one of things from last year or even 2 years ago, like I wanted to hear the commentary. I wanted to see extra stuff for Get Out, for It, for, I don't know, some other stuff like Lady Bird. I saw a handful of things I wanted. So I went to the library and I was able to Get Out and It. And so I listened to the, actually there was no commentary, but the featurettes were really charming for the movie. Like one was Pennywise Lives, and that showed the Skarsgård kind of characterization of it, which was really cool in that, I don't know. Obviously it's CG enhanced, but there's a lot of stuff physically. So like this weird thing he does with his eye where it's like off was something they hoped for to do digitally, but he can do it like physically.
Yeah.
No.
Your eyes
and this
should
weird
not
thing
move
with his mouth
of each other.
No.
the weird thing with his mouth that you see in a lot of those sort of
that was like Daniel Radcliffe for Swiss Army Man, how he could kill that one eye so that it just hangs partially closed.
Yeah, that's another one I got to find the DVD for.
Like Forrest Whitaker.
Yeah, I love that meme you sent from 420.
Yeah. 419. And it's his normal. That's so bad. And then 420 is his other eye.
Yeah. He's so celebrated, though. I don't know. I mean, it's bad. It's wrong. But literally everyone
Ghost Dog. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So the It DVD, I didn't get or Blu-ray. I didn't get a chance to actually rewatch the movie, and I got to take it back. But I'm gonna buy it. There's another portrait of the Losers Club, which is like the kids and their environment. That was super.
Sure.
That was really sweet. That's why I used the adjective sweet. And there's some deleted scenes. Those, I don't know. There really wasn't too much there. But the one that I just watched last night was called Author of Fear, and it's Stephen King reveals the roots of his best-selling novel, the nature of childhood fear, and how he created his most famous monster. So that was pretty cool, actually. It's mostly just entirely an interview with him.
That's awesome.
Talking about it. Some stuff I didn't really know, like that a lot of it came from some of the stories about like the club that the African American club that people get locked in and it burns down. Like that was
the Black Spot.
There were certain there were certain stories like that came from him looking into Bangor, Maine, where he came from.
Wow.
And he combined some stuff like that he heard about the dark underbelly of a town, the real town that he lived in, with just some stuff he made up. But that was all pretty interesting. And so I really enjoyed that. I just watched that last night, actually.
That's awesome.
It's not King Corner, but I'll just put a quick plug for the Get Out commentary. It was out of this world great. Like that movie is so dense with subtext and stuff. Yeah, and he unpacks it all, and it's just magnificent. It was so good. So good.
I'm going to have to start. So I've been taking advantage of my library, obviously, for audiobooks, but I'm going to have to start taking advantage of them for supplementary material on DVDs. So...
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
That's awesome. We bought so we had purchased Blade Runner 2049, which made me DVDs and Twinkie, man, that is visually stunning. That movie.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah, I feel bad. I fell asleep on it. I mean, any movie now it takes me almost 2 times to go through it.
Well, that thing is 3 hours long.
Yeah, and it's super dense and
you got to be ready to go. Yeah, you've got to really. It's not going to be an action. It's.
And there's 40 minutes of those little vignettes before you even get to the movie. So if you count those, that adds all that extra time. I loved all those though. That was good.
Yeah, that's a rabbit hole to go down. But that's a good. It's a lot of good stuff in that movie.
The last thing for my King Corner I have is I did pick this up. And it's not as great of a find as it sounds like. What in that text message I sent is it's a first edition of a reprint. This is they did a new run of Salem's Lot in 2005, and this is a limited illustrated edition. So this is the first run of that illustrated edition, which I think was a limited. They only did one run, so they're all first edition. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it just sounded like a cool thing, and it looks like a cool book.
Oh, yeah, and it's a great cover, and there's awesome...
Who does the illustration?
I'm not sure, honestly.
It's just a third...
Yeah,
he doesn't have somebody that does illustrations.
They're weird illustrations. There's... they're almost
Oh, yeah.
What are those called? Plates, woodcuts or whatever?
Sure.
Photographs by Jerry N. Uelsmann, Uelsmann.
They're photographs, huh?
Yeah, photographs.
Huh.
So
interesting.
So yeah, but I picked that up at a flea market this weekend, and that was a good find. Which I always feel like this is one of Stephen King's books that I have never given a fair shake. Salem's Lot. I always feel like I was either super. I had eaten a bunch of cake when I was going through it, or I just wasn't paying attention. And So I'm glad to have that because now it'll be good for me to go through it and intentionally read it because then I'll for sure burn it in. So
that's very cool.
Yeah. So I think it's about time, gentlemen. We've been putting off the inevitable. I think we've gone through enough bits. Oh, you have a Dave's Digs.
Oh yeah, I do. Yeah.
You want to do your Dave's?
Yeah. So have either of you heard of this TV show? It's a BBC America runs it. It's called Killing Eve.
That sounds familiar.
I've heard of it. Somebody on Twitter, really like a famous person, really kept pushing it. Can't remember who it was now. A writer, one of the movie writers that I follow was talking about it, I think. But yeah, anyway, yeah, I've heard good things.
Yeah, so it just finished its first season. It looks like it's on Amazon Prime now. So the IMDb synopsis is a security operative hunts for an assassin based on the Villanelle novels by Luke Jennings. I'm terrible at synopsizing things, so I think that's fair enough just to say. But so you basically have a psychopath hired killer out there, and then a security operative hunting for her, kind of obsessed with her, wants to find her. And it's all British. Well, it's not an all British cast, but it's a largely British set show. And it stars Sandra Oh. I just clicked the wrong thing. Jodie Comer as Villanelle. I don't know what to say about it other than I just fucking love it. Like, it's a little offbeat. Like there's humor to it in unexpected ways consistently. And the lead character, the Jodie Comer, is so electric to watch. Like because she's like a psychopath and kills without remorse, but she's also kind of funny. I don't know. And I've never liked Sandra Oh, but Sandra Oh is amazing.
Like
in
Patrick
this.
Bateman kind of funny?
A kind of funny I haven't quite seen, honestly.
I mean, like American Psycho.
No. I mean, maybe kind of. No, it's just a little different.
Okay.
It's weird because the kind of funny she is wouldn't suggest that she doesn't feel things, I guess. I don't know. It's I just really, really enjoyed it. And
who plays that main character? What's her name again?
Her name is, I might be saying this wrong, but Jodie Comer. I've never seen her in anything before, but she's she's
C-O-M or
incredible.
Oh yeah,
Comer. And so yeah, I guess it's based on a series of books, but it was it's all new. It was all new to me. I thought it was created by Phoebe Waller-Bridge, who I had also not heard of to this time. Anyway, so the first season was just unreal. And I mentioned how Stephen King can be generous with his praise for things that he likes. And he tweeted about it on May 28th, saying, "Killing Eve, the rare pleasure of watching a cast and crew that gets everything, every little thing, absolutely right."
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. It's not a horror show by any means. It's kind of a thriller, but we laugh a lot. So yeah, that's my Dave's Digs, kind of an unexpected gem for me. And then we looked up this another show that Phoebe Waller-Bridge, who's an actress but also a writer and producer. Sorry. She had also made this show called Fleabag in 2016. That's also on Amazon. And so The Bride and I are only a few episodes into that, but that's fucking awesome too, and has some of that same offbeat humor. I don't know. Yeah, it's I've just been so delighted by those two things. And I wanted to make sure to say that today because Phoebe Waller-Bridge is L3 in Solo. She's the voice of L3 in Solo.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Which I did not know. Like, even after Solo, the bride's like, "Oh yeah, that's this person." I was like, "Who? What?" But anyway, so it all kind of ties together.
Oh, that does all make it tie together because, oh, that's nice. Because I started seeing interviews with the. She sounds a lot like the actress that plays from the actress from Game of Thrones that plays the.
Oh, sure. That plays the female stormtrooper. His name is escaping me.
Yes, the name is, but because
Phasma.
Yeah, Phasma. Because they're both of their voices are like coming out of helmets. They sounded and they are British, and they just sounded very similar to me. And I'm like,
me too. Yeah, that's who I thought it was.
Did they see? That's who I thought it was. And I'm like, seriously? Like they have her doing the voice? Like how are they going to justify that? And then I started seeing interviews with her, and I'm like, oh well, that's not her. That's a totally different woman. Yeah, which. Well, we're teasing. We're getting there. Long walk, short drinkers. It is a long walk. I'll do a quick Palmer's pleasure because
oh yes, please.
I wanted to do this. I can't for some reason. It has switched over. It won't let me broadcast the audio anymore like it used to. I have to play with that. Like I was just telling Twinkie, we have to come together. We'll have to. Oh, recording devices. I bet that's where it is. Stereo mix. That's it. Okay. I might be actually able to play this. Let me try that. So my Palmer's Pleasure is a song because this song came out and it has Young in the title. But that's not why it sounds like a Neil Young song to me. And I want to get your guys' opinion to tell me if this sounds like a Neil Young song to you. It's by are you familiar with have you heard of the band Portugal the Man?
I've not.
They're like an indie alternative band. Paste and go.
Portugal the Man?
Portugal the Man.
Huh.
So I'm going to let me try to play this so that way we don't have to, well, I guess this would be it. Oh yeah.
So young, just begun. Don't need to live to know what I'll become. When you wake up, still in your makeup, you make it home just fine without breaking. That's so young. That's so young. Stay calm, we'll all just get along. Sit around, pretending like nothing's wrong. So long, love letter, but you and I gotta live forever. I don't need to make amends, but I'm done going undercover. I just wanna find a friend. I don't need another lover. One day the world may end, but there's still plenty to discover.
All right, so that's all I'm going to play because that's probably enough to get this episode deleted, anyways.
That totally sounds like Neil Young.
Doesn't it sound like Neil Young, but like a new modern like take on Neil Young? God, is it so good? Just so good. I love Summertime, and I love indie alt, and I love when those two things come together. Indie alt is so great this time of year for some reason. It's like they just put out all their best shit at the summer. I love it.
Saving it up.
Yeah, and so that's a new one that's playing around right now, and every time it comes on, I'm just like, this is Neil Young. This is totally Neil Young. That's so vindicating that you guys heard Neil Young in that too.
Oh yeah. Tons.
Yeah, like I mean, like that's all you can hear, right? Like
yeah.
Like, oh man, the guy and other Portugal the Man songs don't sound like that. That's another reason why I love indie alt a lot, is because they're really they don't try to stick to one sound. They just try to like pay homages to all the people they like. So this song sounds like Neil Young. The next song sounds like that's the other Palmer's Pleasure. Because I listen to Alt Nation on Sirius XM. That's where I hear all this like great new alternative music. Right now, though, they have two great channels because it's summer. They have a Beach Boys channel, which is all Beach Boys. which is awesome. They also have a U2 channel now.
Yes, sir.
Oh, which
I have a trial because I got a new car and just started, and that's been hard to resist.
Yeah, it's so good. I mean, because now there's a Pearl Jam.
Yeah, that was 22. Yeah,
there's a Pearl Jam. There's a Tom Petty. There is a Boss channel.
Yeah, I forgot about that for a second.
U2. Man, just all these awesome, and that's just like rock. There's Eminem's got a channel. I think there's a couple other really like cool hip hop channels where the hosts on there. Man, yeah, I hate dealing with Sirius XM. Absolutely despise it. They're the worst customer service on the planet.
Oh, really?
No. We're just considering, the bride and I just today, because she went on this trip, or like she had to travel for work, and she was listening to U2. She's like, man, that's pretty cool. I was like, do you want to, maybe look into getting it? She's like, I don't know. The first time ever we've had that discussion, and now I'm hearing like it's awful.
No, so I'll give you some advice. They're always going to upsell you. They're always going to try to upsell you, and they're going to do shady stuff with your account. So you have to call in there and you have to just be forceful. And here's the thing. They will always cut the price. They'll always cut the price. So even if they're not running the special, you say, I want the $100 for the year. And they have a $99 for the year special. And then you say, I want invoice billing, so they don't automatically renew after the year. Because if they renew, they'll renew at the $250 price, like the normal price. Because every year I call back and I fight with them and I get the $99 price every year. Like,
so I want invoice billing. What was the other thing?
Well, invoice billing, you want $99 a year. And
because that's a special advertised often?
Yeah. You can also add, if you want to do the app, you can add that on at the but that's here and there.
Oh, that is a little bit of a stumbling block, the idea that I have to listen to it in my car. Like U2's about to do this Apollo show next Monday that it's going to be a totally different type of show than they normally do, which I saw them on tour, by the way.
Oh, yeah?
If you can catch it, it's great. But this whole Innocence Experience thing that they did, so the last album was called Songs of Innocence, the most recent one, Songs of Experience, both truly fantastic albums. Like, I don't know any other band at this stage in their career doing this kind of like emotionally powerful, relevant work. It's outstanding. If you can't catch the Experience tour live, get the Paris Blu-ray for Songs of Innocence. It's like one of the best things they have ever done. Like we saw that tour twice, but we watched the Blu-ray in advance of the continuation of it. I can't believe how good it is.
That's awesome.
Anyway, so they're in the midst of that tour, but they're doing the show at the Apollo on Monday that'll be broadcast on Sirius, and there's a contest running for Sirius listeners, and I happen to have this free trial. But it's like I'm like, what? So okay, I have to be in my car to listen.
So
to
the app is I really enjoyed having the app when I was at work because I could listen on through my web browser, like through my work computer. Or I could listen through my phone. But then it starts to get to the point where you're like, okay, then why do I have the car subscription? Because I could use my Bluetooth to just stream the app over my car. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
it is nice to have to just like carry it around and about. And I tell you what, like I'm not saying anything against like local radio. I think it is a great industry. But I tell you what, you get spoiled on like the music channels. Alt Nation is, because I would much rather listen to new good music, not new pop, just new good music that I like. And Alt Nation it just fits that groove for me. It feeds me really new music that I'll listen to. Like there's so many songs where I've listened to on Alt Nation, and then like. And this is no exaggeration, like a year or a year and a half later, that song will blow up and I'll be like, are you kidding me? Like I heard that song a year ago on Alt Nation. They were playing that, you know, and it's just
way down.
Yeah, there you go. Just like that. All that.
Yeah. That was everywhere like a few months after you hit me to it.
Yeah. See? So that's a great example. But
another good example of Palmer hipping people to music. Remember, so we talked about the PLMR podcast, but in the 2006 late February 2006 was the tape letter I was listening to today, and I said I was about to listen to volume 2 of your mix WPLMR mix CD.
Oh yeah.
So we got a timeline on that. Palmer's been turning me onto music since 2000, probably earlier, but in a concerted effort since 2005.
Yeah, 2005, 2006. Because
yeah,
the first one. Well, no, I guess it would. The first one would have come out in 2006 too.
And yeah, because I talked about that on one of the other tapes, like how excited I was about it.
Man, yeah. So,
what do you, Twinkie? I know you like music, but don't get a chance to talk about it much. What have you been listening to?
Well, I tease it on Twitter a little bit. You know, it's just I get into these things where, well, you guys know, I get in a mood or just I just kind of go down rabbit holes, and I've been listening to 90s Willie Nelson.
Awesome.
Wow.
That's so spectacular.
But I'll tell you why. So there's an album that I bought of Willie Nelson's in 98 called Teatro, and it's on Island Records, right? And it's produced
U2's label.
Right, and it's produced by who's a really famous producer that I'm blanking out right now? Brian Eno?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, one of U2's most frequent collaborators.
It's Eno and then someone, but anyway, I remember listening to that and just like I wonder Lenoir, that's who it is. It's produced by Lenoir.
That's the other part of that Batman and Robin duo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Lenoir did it, and it's kind of bare bones Willie Nelson and his guitar, and he Emmylou Harris does some back work, like some work for it. But it's like Willie plays a really old Spanish guitar, and has this group of people that he always plays with, his sister Bobby, like just the same old same. I've been playing music with these people forever, literally ever, since the beginning of time. It feels like sometimes when you're listening to that group, just how well they play together. And he has another album that was released in '96 called Spirit. And I was like, I don't know if I've never listened to that one before, but I'm pretty sure that's the same label. And it is Island now. It's not Lenoir. I think it was someone else. If I could pull it up right now.
Have you ever heard, are you familiar with his he sings a U2 song that I think was only ever released as a B-side with him singing, but it's called Slow Dancing from 97.
Yeah. I think it's actually released on one of his greatest hits. I think he released.
Oh, really?
It. Yeah. I think
in 2003. I just looked that up, but it initially appeared on the If God Will Send His Angels.
That was a cabin song. Like we played that song.
Sure.
I still love to sing that song, but I obviously it didn't sound like Willie Nelson.
I can remember you talking about this album in 98, like
probably
99.
Yeah. So this album it speaks to me. So I started listening to this album called Spirit, which is 96, just 2 years before, still on Island Records, but it just didn't. I don't think I was exploring music even 2 years before like I was in 98. You know, as I just got older and had been exposed to more like U2 stuff and Dylan, and then I had started to reach out with stars that I was familiar with, like Willie Nelson, or because I had listened to a lot of country music, but it wasn't country. You know, it was them. I mean, I shouldn't say it. Willie Nelson put out a jazz standards album in the 80s. Like, you know, he had no interest in being pigeonholed or anything,
right.
and he could obviously do whatever he wanted to do. And in fact, like 2 years ago, he put out a album of Broadway hits.
That's awesome.
Willie Nelson just does whatever the fuck he wants, which
right.
He's like 1,000 years old, so whatever. But anyway, this album called Spirit, and I've had it on repeat on my phone, just on Amazon Music. I use, and it is just as close to probably a concept album as you would ever have seen in '96.
Wow.
It is beautiful. It's majestic.
Writing that down right there.
It's definitely an album where, for me, I can, it's relaxing and it's just heartbreaking at the same time. I don't know what else to. There's a track on it called "Your Memory Won't Die in My Grave," and it's almost like a funeral dirge, and it's frighteningly sad, but just haunting. So I've been doing this. I've been listening to that album nonstop for the past 2 days, even a little bit before then. But I can't get it out of my head. I am, I'm just enwrapped in it. I don't know how else to say it. It's like it's just seduced me. It has seduced me. Like, I don't know what else to say. So I don't know.
I love albums like that. I love it when albums do that, where it's just like, I just need to listen to this as much as possible.
Yeah, and I don't remember it getting any sort of praise. I don't know what he did after it or before it. I mean, as far as if he like did a kind of a, like, he'll do an album and then another album maybe a decade later that kind of seems like a sister album to that, you know.
Yeah.
So I still have a little bit of digging to do, but yeah, I mean, that I've been listening to some Yo-Yo Ma recently.
Oh, cool.
I don't know. Then I'll get in the car and be like, I would really like some Buck Owens, you know, and you get this like Bakersfield Telecaster, just really like, I guess you'd call it like rockabilly stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Like you, I don't necessarily listen to the radio currently. I don't mean it to be like snooty or like the kids these days. There's really talented people. One of my favorite artists right now is pop musician Janelle Monáe. She's had an album come out called Dirty, and just fierce, and incredible. And I would love to just interview her and talk to her, and what, like, being like a black queer woman in this community, and then just like giving it to people.
Yeah.
With her music. So
what's her album called?
I believe it's called let's see, it's Dirty Computer. Dirty Computer is what it's called.
Okay.
Cool. And Janelle Monáe is her name. She's
the one that wears like the pompadours and the.
Yeah.
Am I thinking the right person?
Her first album was called Arch Android, and it's masterful as well. I would highly recommend that.
Cool.
But yeah, so this
is all music to build a CNC machine to.
Yeah, yeah. You should. It's
a
weird.
Music Factory. CNC Music Factory. That's all I think of every time you say that. Come on, let's fight. Baby. Oh my God. Did you drive to Red Rocks to see Willie Nelson in 1999?
Willie Nelson. Who else was there? There was a couple other bands. I can't remember. But yeah, Willie Nelson.
For a kid from Rittman at the time, that was a big deal. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I would,
that you did that.
I would really like to see him again. That's when I saw Crams no, Crams wasn't out there at the time. I just saw another friend who, I won't say names. But yeah, I went and saw them. They were in Wyoming, and then drove down to Denver, and here I am.
Yeah.
20,
yeah, never left.
20 years later.
20 years later. Yeah.
I probably would have been better off if I would have stayed here in some ways, but it's another different story for a different day. But yeah, Willie Nelson, a national treasure by far. Obviously his popularity has faded. As he had his heyday, but man, oh man, good stuff. I always like when I find those things, when that can captivate me.
Yeah.
And I never know what they are too, which is nice.
Yeah. I love stumbling upon an album, and it can happen just as easily with an album that you've listened to 100 times.
Yeah.
As a brand new one. But I love stumbling upon an album that just speaks to you at that moment in your life. And you're just like, this is all I can listen to right now. Like any chance I can get, like, and you want other people to hear it and you want them to experience this. Like, do you hear what that's saying right there? Like, do you get that? And just, I love when those times when your life and music just like sync up like that, and you're given like a good album or a good, like, even a good song, you know, just a good song where you're just like, I just want to play this as much as I possibly can.
Yeah, I think just having life experience is not, you know, you can see what maybe a writer might have been talking about a little bit after you have some life experiences. Yeah. You know, it's one thing to be 16 in Rittman, Ohio, and listen to Bob Dylan. And it's another thing to be, you know, 45 and have experienced some stuff. Oh, and then you listen to Bob Dylan. And then it's a different thing to be a 35-year-old, you know, black person in Alabama in 2018 and listen to Bob Dylan and probably hear a completely different perspective. So
absolutely. And I think that's true. But I think that's the great thing about music is it all has an opportunity to speak to somebody at some, you know, at that moment in their life. And when you do stumble upon it like that, whether you're a 16-year-old kid in Rittman, Ohio, or a black man in 2018 in Alabama, when the music lines up with you and it's like finding a good friend or a soulmate for that period, that it means something, you know. And then I can think of Yield really defined like my early 20s. The Pearl Jam album Yield, and then A Grand Don't Come for Free by the Streets. That one, like right around my divorce, really meant a lot to me. I just listened to that one over and over and over and over again. And yeah, when you just like, when that happens, it's awesome. Totally awesome. So, and it is great when you go back to those ones and re-find them. I love that too. So
speaking of that, I haven't been listening to much music recently. Well, U2. I've been down a bit of a U2 thing, but I won't get into that because I just wanted to mention. Yeah, I wanted to mention quickly that the Bride sent me this article that came out earlier in May, where somebody wrote about something that I think has been posted for a while, but the YouTube videos that are published by several different people. I don't know how these tracks got out there, but they're synced to live concert footage, but they're just the vocals from Eddie Vedder singing the songs off of 10, Pearl Jam's debut album.
Oh, gotcha.
So she sent me that a couple days ago, and it sent me down a little 10 rabbit hole, which was fun.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's such a good album. That's an easy one to fall down.
Very cool to just hear those vocal tracks isolated as well. I mean, that was
Did every one of those songs get released as a single? I feel like
no.
I feel like they did though. Like, because every song on that, you're like, yep. Like you could sing along to every song on there. It's just crazy.
There are 4 singles because I busted the singles out. The singles are Alive, then Even Flow, Jeremy, which is when, you know, everything hit hard, and then Oceans. And then the story is that Eddie Vedder fought hard and succeeded to not have Black released as a single.
Oh, really?
But radio played it a lot.
Yeah.
But that is 4 singles off an 11-song album, so that's a lot of tunes.
Double D has rejoined us back on the chat. He dropped a couple in here, and he's asking about what were our first albums. I think I've said it before on the show. My first album's kind of funny. The first, like, it was also the first CD I owned, but it was Rod Stewart Unplugged.
That's right. That's awesome.
Which was, but I probably the first album that really like spoke to me. I could listen to the album from start to finish and just like it. Probably he said, was it Tom Petty? Tom Petty's Greatest Hits that was released in the mid '90s. There that had like Mary Jane's Last Dance. I mean, it had all their best hits on it. That album really did mean a lot. And then Wildflowers after that. Those were 2 big ones that really, that I could listen to over and over and over again. I had other albums from that time period, but definitely that Tom Petty's Greatest Hits was man, did I burn that up. Love that thing. What about you guys? What was the first album you can remember where you were like, this speaks to me?
Man, I was trying to think while you were talking to see if I come up with something. I mean, I think like the first album I remember buying with my own money that I was not regretful about was probably the Eagles' Greatest Hits. The one that sold like 500 million copies.
Oh yeah. Hell Freezes Over, that one?
It was just the one with like the skull on the front of it. I don't think it was Hell Freezes Over because that was like one of their reunion things.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the Eagles thing sent me down a road, which I'm glad. So the Eagles, of course, were this California country rock song or sound. They worked with Chris Hillman, who was of the Byrds, who also worked with a group called the Flying Burrito Brothers. And so you get onto this old like California sound, this California rockabilly, and which then kicked me around. You get to like some of the Merle Haggards and the Buck Owens, kind of bringing them all together. And I don't know, the Eagles sent me down a path, I guess, of musical exploration for which I've enjoyed. So that worked out okay.
Awesome.
We got to get you talking more about music. I like this Twinkie talking about music.
Yeah. What about you?
2
Dave?
albums I'm excited to. I remember my first like album that I procured, and actually it was a single. It was the We Are the World 45.
Awesome.
I remember being in the store getting that with my dad, I think. That's the only and my first CD. I'm seeing some of the chats from the guys because I think Moto was asking, are we talking cassette tapes or CDs? Yeah. I'm not sure about my first cassette tape. My first CD though was Ace of Base.
Oh yeah, nice.
Fantastic CD. I can't remember what it's called, but their big album from 1993 or 4.
Wasn't it called The Sign? Wasn't it called The Sign?
Yes, it was called The Sign. Yes.
Okay.
Speaking of an album whose every song was a single.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh wait. So Moto says, not that I had too many tapes. First CD was Stone Temple Pilots' Purple.
Way to rub it in, Moto. Just because you're a couple years younger doesn't mean you throw it in our face.
Oh, that cool shit. What about Double D? Double D. What about you? It's gonna take 30 seconds for that to get broadcast out for him to hear it, and then another 30 for him to type it.
I'm having trouble remembering the first one that like meant something to me though. In terms of, I was big into Buddy Holly when I saw the Buddy Holly story in La Bamba, but I was like 9 or 10, so I didn't.
But I liked music, but I didn't understand how much music could, like, music didn't become a soundtrack to my life until The Cabin. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
music was just one of these things that, like, I went through the longest time where I loved all the like the hits from the 50s and 60s, you know, like Jerry Lee Lewis and like all that kind of stuff, like Great Balls of Fire, all that stuff, you know. Those were all like my favorite because that's just what my mom listened to.
Sure. Yeah.
But it wasn't until like I got to The Cabin and like Jackson talking about experiencing music and like performing music with a group of people that all like to perform music and just all like that was really where I started to realize like, oh my gosh, like this is is it Cameron Crowe talks about, you know, because like he is it Cameron Crowe or is that his name?
The guy the director and the music writer. Yeah.
You know, like he pays so much attention because he has always had a finger on like music being the soundtrack of your life, you know, and that's why his movies, the music is so powerful in his movies. And yeah, it really was not until The Cabin that I really understood that as a concept. So
we got a couple chime in from the guys. Double D says Aerosmith, big ones.
That's nice.
Awesome.
Probably
is that the one with the like 2 trucks humping?
What? Is that what?
That sounds Aerosmith like.
Yeah. And Moto says Twinkie my first cassettes, Bodyguard the soundtrack.
Oh, I see. Oh, he just didn't want to. He just didn't want to talk about it. He didn't. No, there's no shame, Moto. I was trying to think. I think my first cassette was a country music guy. See, I was trying to Clay Walker. I think so. I
remember that name from the early 90s. Yeah,
so I think that no shame in that, Moto. Bodyguard. That.
I love that album also. I think he probably had to get his own because I would not let him borrow mine.
Oh, Pump.
Oh, yeah.
Pump is the name of that Aerosmith album with the 2 trucks humping.
Oh, that makes more sense.
Do you remember when Pumps lost his S? Do you guys remember that when we stripped Pumps the cabin kit of his S? Like a penalty?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, I wish I could remember so for me, I remember the Buddy Holly stuff and La Bamba, but I think after that, the next thing to actually truly get me excited about music was I was excited by the movie Pump Up the Volume, and I was making imitative tapes in my bedroom as a middle schooler, and that was a radio show. He was playing cool stuff in the movie, like Leonard Cohen, Pixies, and stuff, and I just raided my dad's tape thing in the closet, and what I found just as filler, I guess, was Stevie Ray Vaughan and Eric Clapton albums. So I think that I really got into that, and then right around that time, shortly thereafter, Clapton had his big Tears in Heaven and Unplugged resurgence, so I had a big Clapton thing for a while. And then I think it was it felt like all at once, like Pearl Jam, 9 Inch Nails, U2, and like Joy Division. So it was like all, and a lot of that, like Pearl Jam hit because for me, seeing Unplugged, but a few years later, like 94-ish. And then the Crow soundtrack got me into like 9 Inch Nails and Joy Division and stuff. And then The Cabin was responsible for U2. Jacko and Crams were into it because of Columbia House.
Is that what it was? They could just get a bunch of CDs for a buck?
Bit. I think that was, I'm not sure what interested them in it, but I basically thought, I don't know, I sort of thought that they should be into Rattle and Hum because there was a concert video of the band I liked.
Okay, yeah.
I didn't even like them myself yet, but I got the video VHS from Record Exchange, and I copied the audio of it onto cassettes to give to them. And in doing that, sort of fell in love with the music myself.
Awesome.
You got. Yeah.
I got big time.
Awesome. All right, guys. I got to take a pee break. You ready for a pee break?
Yes, sir. First cassette from Double D had to be Oak Ridge Boys, Fancy Free.
Nice. I'm talking about. Get some of that old school. Yeah.
Moto talked about his. I had MC Hammer's Too Legit to Quit on cassette.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Jack and I used to listen to MC Hammer's first album and draw Bart Simpson when we were very young.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Let's take
when we come back, we're going to talk about Solo, but maybe even Avengers, Infinity War.
Oh yeah, we could
summer
talk about
movies in general.
We could wrap both of those together in the
I'm excited about Solo, that's for sure. I really want to hear what you guys have to say about that.
Oh man, there's good stuff about Solo.
I will say I think I have some controversial things to say, but you'll have to come back to hear them.
Oh, so our whole 4 listeners, don't fucking go anywhere. Don't fucking log off. We'll be back. We're just going to pee. Probably eat a little piece of cake, refresh our beers, and then we'll be back here. So let's everybody. My family tells stories about me dancing as a baby to Elvira.
Really?
Yeah.
Say more about that.
Well, I'm just like, as a baby, I really like that song, Elvira.
Elvira. Is that how it goes?
Yeah.
I was telling Double D, it's funny because I will say something and then he'll respond in the chat. But I wasn't familiar with that song, and it came on the radio, and the bride was like, "You don't know that song?" And then she was starting to sing along, but it somehow escaped me.
Oh yeah, well, and ironically, my favorite. Well, I had a Palmer's Pleasure lined up for last episode with Crams, so they did a revival of Elvira. So you had Frank and Drac.
Yeah.
Elvira had a late night show.
Oh, yes, that Elvira.
Yeah, that Elvira like had a late night show. Like, and it's on Amazon Prime right now. It's like Elvira's 13 Nights of Terror, where she does like B horror movies from the 90s. So like there's a Puppet Master episode, and there's what was the first one? The first episode that I watched, like all these awesome, really, really low string horror movies that she hosts. It's almost like pop-up video, but instead of like little blurbs coming where it's just a bubble, it's like she'll pop up with her like boobs hanging out, and she'll say something about the movie, and then like, I mean, not like actually hanging out, but you know how Elvira is like with her cleavage.
Yeah, but it's pretty good.
And it also has like two really popular pinball machines that are like, which one of them happens to be like my unicorn machine, like that I can't, when I stumble upon it and I finally get to buy it, it's going to be awesome. But that was my Palmer's Pleasure for the last episode that I didn't get to. They have this revival of the Elvira's late night show. It's all the same kind of format. Really campy, really cheesy. She hosts it, like it cuts back to her a couple times. And then interspersed with that is this move, like these really cheesy, bad horror movies. I totally recommend it. It's awesome.
That sounds like a lot of fun. I've never seen Puppet Master, but I'm curious about that franchise. So that'd be a fun way.
Like one of my favorites when I was a kid. Like I loved all of those. Like every one of the Puppet Masters. Like I was like 11 and could give you like, I could have an actual like debate about the Puppet Master series and like where it went wrong. Like I couldn't do that now.
That's awesome.
But I could then. Like I could tell you like where it was, like which one was good and where it jumped the shark, and I didn't even know what that term was, of course. But
sure.
But
did it go to space? Because that's usually a bad sign.
I think they did do a Puppet Masters in space, but they jumped the shark way before that. They fight Nazis in one of them, and yeah, gets outrageous.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
One more thing I wanted to mention. I don't really need to talk about it because this is not a good movie, but I mentioned this mostly for Moto while we're technically still in the break. On Amazon, I saw a tweet from Michael Dudikoff. From Don the Dragon Wilson to Michael Dudikoff about this movie that they're both in. So I'm like, I got to see this because he's like, you're amazing in this, or I had to leave the premiere early. So there's a movie you can watch on Amazon Prime called Fury of the Fist and the Golden Fleece. And the short synopsis is the biggest porn star of the 1970s must reclaim his mojo in the 80s by saving all male kind, fighting his way to the heart of a conspiracy to sell meat pumped full of estrogen to emasculate men.
Okay. Oh my gosh.
It is a profoundly, purposefully cheesy movie. It's honestly bad. I can't recommend it for any merit other than the cast, which is as follows. Danny Trejo, Jason and Jeremy London as like these weird twins. Bianca Van Damme, which is Jean-Claude Van Damme's unbelievably gorgeous daughter, who can do the helicopter kick.
What?
Yeah. Really well, by the way. Bill Goldberg, Richard Grieco, Tommy Tiny Lester, Cynthia Rothrock, who was she was a female version of like a Van Damme back in the day. Michael Dudikoff as the super boss. So he's basically in Heath Ledger Joker makeup and affect for some reason. It's crazy. Michael Winslow, Ernie Reyes Jr. This is, like I said, a lot of this is for Moto.
Oh no, that's Carl Winslow. I was like, the guy from Family Matters.
No, like Police Academy.
yes.
Tommy Davidson from In Living Color, Chuck Zito, the kind of, and here's Don the Dragon Wilson as like a kung fu master. I'm looking to make sure there aren't any other glaring, and the coup de grace for me, because I wasn't expecting this. I was ready for the Dudikoff, though not ready for Dudikoff's performance, which was pretty fun. Tamiyak as the dragon, as in the Last Dragon, as in the Tamiyak from the Last Dragon, looking amazing, fucking kicking ass. So terrible movie, amazing cast. There you go. And complete aside. I'll cut that out. That's for Moto.
That's awesome.
All right, so let's talk some actual contemporary summer blockbusters.
Yeah.
Or do we just want to talk Solo? Do we want to do a little Infinity War?
Let's jump into Solo, and if we get to Infinity War, we'll get to it.
All right.
I mean, again, as much as I know I will always be entertained. I shouldn't say always. I have always been entertained by every Marvel movie that I've seen in the theater. But even with Infinity War, maybe that's not 100% true. I mostly knew what I was going to get with Infinity War.
I was not prepared for that ending. That bummed me the fuck out.
Yeah. I didn't read anything about it. I didn't read comic books. I've never read comic books about the Avengers. I've never been I was never a comic book person. And so all of these are all new to me. In fact, when my coworkers talk, I say, I don't want to know anything. Like, this is great. This is the best part. Like, I don't know anything that's going to happen. And, some of them get frustrated because it's not the way they think it should be or whatever. Yeah. But, here's what I've realized as a 38-year-old. Nobody's making movies for me anymore. They're aiming for a different audience. I'm not
George
the
Miller is.
audience. Well, yeah. He wants me in my underwear on the couch watching the Mad Max. But yeah, I mean, these movies aren't made for me, and that's okay. Like, that's okay. I'm fine with that. Movies are made for a different audience.
You know what else I'm fine with? I'm also fine with those smashing blockbuster Marvel movies funding small, dark, really intimate Star Wars films. That's what I'm okay with.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, I never thought of it like that.
Yeah.
I'd take more of that. I just live in a world where I get all of these movies, and whether they're the way that I want them to be or not, I still enjoy, like Palmer said, I enjoy most of them. Wow, what a terrible place to be, where I get all this great content and some of it doesn't meet my expectations. Well, we'll try again next year. Great. For the most part, though, the acting is wonderful. The effects are great. I mean, the cast is lovable. I mean, it's an enjoyable movie. I went and saw it with some coworkers in IMAX because it was the first movie that's been completely filmed in IMAX.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and so we went and saw it in IMAX, and from a technical side of things, that was really cool. But
I've seen very few IMAX movies. I think actually the only one might have been the second Avengers movie, possibly Age of Ultron. I think.
Oh, okay.
It's the only IMAX movie I've still seen to this day.
Yeah.
It's weird. I don't remember much about Infinity War. Now that I think about it, I kind of, I don't remember. I feel a lot like a setup movie to me, but it was so weird to leave one of those movies feeling like, ugh.
Yeah.
Like on a downbeat like that.
Oh, no. It totally, that was the one thing that I said when I was like, I knew exactly what I was going to expect. It caught me totally off guard where they gutted their whole universe, basically. Ugh.
When I wondered how much of that, because I've heard that they were going to scale back that they were going to kind of reorganize and refocus like what the Avengers would be, but they killed way too many.
Right.
Like Black Panther is not gone.
Right.
Like that kind of stuff. The Bride pointed that out to me.
And Spider-Man, like his sequel hasn't even come out yet. You know what I mean? Like, which it is getting ready to come out. And I heard that it takes place before Age of or Infinity War happens, like in the
Oh,
timeline.
cool.
So, like, so you still don't know, but it's like, come on, you're not going to kill off like half your universe. There's just
you could see if like it's time for Robert Downey Jr. to go, or he's making so much money, or Chris Evans, who is cashing in big time, and some of those like A-list actors, where it might be time to move on and they don't come back. But yeah, Black Panther made $1 billion. Black Panther 2 is coming. Like,
exactly.
I don't mean to break the fourth wall there, but there's some money, and they're gonna get that money.
Yep, absolutely. And again, when I said like I'm okay with Marvel movies funding these little intimate Star Wars movies, oh man, oh buddy,
good sir,
Double D,
gentlemen, how's it going?
Oh my gosh, it's fantastic, buddy. How you doing?
Loving life.
Double D, nice to see you again.
Twinkie, pleasure's all mine.
Yeah.
So let's talk Solo. I think that's where we're going, right?
Solo, yes. Okay, we were landing the plane to finally get. We were wrapping up talking about Infinity War. Did you see that?
I haven't seen that yet. No.
Oh,
so
okay.
Get back on that.
Oh, geez, man, fantastic. It. Yeah, spoiler. You missed all the spoilers, so that's good. So we can totally move to Solo. Now, Twinkie, you've already started a little little inflammatory.
Yeah.
So
I'll just say it.
You ready? Talk about your timeline first. I want to hear more about your timeline comment.
About Solo?
Yeah, with Solo and Rogue One, and because you said they took liberties with the timeline.
Oh no, I was just saying. They made those just like you're talking about having the cabin kids record them and release them whenever. Well, that's what you can do with Rogue One or any of the other legacy movies. You can make them anywhere.
Oh yeah, because
you don't have to say Star Wars Episode 10 or whatever.
Right. I hear you.
But no, here's my thing. So this is coming from someone who is a lover of Episode 8. I enjoy Rian Johnson. I really all of it was great in Episode 8. But I will say that I like Solo more than I liked The Last Jedi.
Whoa.
Yeah. I said after the movie, like on the way home, sorry to hop in on this, but I felt that way too. I loved it so much. When it was over, I looked over it and the bride was like, immediately she's like, that was half of a good movie. And I just like got as far away from her as I could in my chair, like to end protest. And on the way home, I did ask her like, what she felt about it and stuff. But I said like, I think I liked that movie as much as say The Force Awakens. Like I just loved it. I like enjoyed the shit out of it, and I didn't really think about it. But yeah, I think I'm on board with that in terms of just like pure enjoyment.
Yeah, this is just pure like spectacle of watching a Star Wars movie and feeling like I felt when I watched Episode 4.
Yes.
Where it's just from a pure enjoyment standpoint. Now, I think obviously the Legacy series have a lot more depth, and they're trying to do a lot of different things there, and so they're a little bit tied up in some of those storylines that they have to take care of and how they have to answer them. So it feels a little restrictive. Where here they can explore and do all of these other things without feeling kind of hamstrung by this arc that they're trying to cover, which is why I like these movies, why I liked Rogue One, and why I like this, where they can be unpredictable and they can do a heist movie in a Star Wars universe, and the next one's going to be who knows what in the Star Wars universe. But
and that, I mean, mind blown, right? Like I don't know why I hadn't picked up on. That's exactly what this was. It was like Ocean's 11 in Star Wars. Like that's totally what this was. Double D, what do you think? Oh, sorry.
No, I would say that I found it enjoyable. I don't think I'm to the level that it sounds like some of you guys experienced there. It was fun. It was engaging. I thought it's weird. It's gonna sound weird maybe, but I think there was too many humans involved. When I think Star Wars, I like to think of like the little Jawas, and I thought Dave might like that.
The person he's never met.
I'm gonna send you the audio clip so you can appreciate where that comes from. Thank you.
But they had the floating head in the in the top level of the yacht or whatever
Yep.
But that was that's it. Like everybody else was like humans and running around. I guess the co-pilot or the pilot for the ship was a Anduvian or something like that, whatever it was.
What's a Nubian?
Yeah, the 2 sets of arms.
But that was a chasing Amy. Somebody was supposed to say.
It was.
Sorry. Go ahead.
But that was just all there was. So, and then everybody else was humans, like Woody Harrelson, and then, like the slight red streaks that showed up, in the and I apologize for names. I don't know the names right now, but the main antagonist's face. Okay, but he's still a human, and like there's just I don't know. It was missing a little bit of that the Cantina feel where there's multiple species, multiple I don't know. I would have liked to have seen more of that.
But speaking which, though, the one scene though that did have there was 2 because at the end they come back to another one of those. The Cantina scene that was a cantina, like when they first introduced Lando Calrissian, every one of those creatures was awesome. Like and alien, like there were a couple like staple alien species, but you saw new ones in there. That was all good stuff. I'm with you guys in that it was so entertaining to be in the Star Wars universe without the burden of the Skywalker saga. And I feel like even Rogue One, it was hard. You still felt, I mean, they show Darth Vader and Princess Leia at the end of it. So that those are still tied up in those events. And this one had nothing to do with that. And I think it's a good taste of where that new trilogy, the potential for that new trilogy that Rian Johnson's has been greenlit to direct. So
I think I can appreciate kind of the world building may not have felt as vast as maybe we get in some of the other movies, to Doubledy's point. But I think the thing that intrigues me, or the reason why I enjoyed it, was because I felt like it gave reason and it gave me insight into Solo's character, where he drew his beats from, like the parts that he took from Beckett, Woody Harrelson's character, the part of his personality that emerged from that, the part of his personality that emerged from Lando, obviously, the part of his person, where he kind of got some of his stuff. When you see him in episode 4, you can almost think, oh yeah, okay, this is why he would have been somewhat confrontational, yet still trying to woo Princess Leia based on Game of Thrones actress lady. Sorry, I don't know her name.
Yeah.
Pulling up Amelia Clark's character, Kira.
Yeah.
So you're like, it helped me build in why he was the way he was to some degree when we met him. And
he's so optimistic. That's what I love. Is it I feel like in the couple choices that Lucas made with the special edition that pretty much killed the character arc that had been built in the original episode 4. This movie, in not so subtle ways, really redeemed that and gave that character back its arc of being. So now you see the full spectrum where he starts out so optimistic. He even ends this movie being an optimist, like, we're going to go and we're going to join he told us about this crime boss out in Tatooine that's going to, we're going to go out there and we're going to become smugglers like that. Like, he doesn't even know that's what he's going to do. They're just going to go out there and they're going to join this team of criminals, And I love how he says at one point, he's like, I got a really good feeling about this. Instead of I got a really bad feeling. He's just the ever optimist in it. And it's just because I don't know. I loved that. How it totally redeems those it just plays, it's total fan service. And I admit that it's total fan service, but it just gives Han Solo back that character arc he was a bad person. He's supposed to be a bad person when you meet him in episode 4 at first, you know,
but not entirely. That was one of the things I appreciated too. Was like at some point the what is her Emilia Clarke's character name? Kira. She says to him that thing towards the end where it's where she's like, what is she? I remember the whole line, but she says like, what is if someone else remembers how it's set up, I would appreciate that. But it's something like, I know
exactly who you are, and he's like, and who am I? And she's like, the good guy.
You're the good guy.
Yeah.
That was kind of interesting because you get to see the origin, not just of, I don't know. I really appreciated that about it. Is fan service a bad sort of derogatory term, or is it a good thing?
I don't think so at all. I mean, I wanted nothing more than Han to shoot first, and he got to.
Which I didn't get. Like Twinkie, when I saw that text, I was like, oh.
Yeah, like that was, I mean, you could hear fans. So Ash and I went and saw this at a midnight show. And so it was just,
that's awesome.
So it was just full of fans, right? And when that happened, I know I made a noise, but the entire theater, there was just like, oh, like, you know, like he got to shoot because he shot first. I feel like this whole movie shows where he's trying to run away. He's trying to run away from that good guy, like prove he's not that good guy, you know? Man, I liked it.
I don't know that that's what he's trying to do, though, because the whole movie, he's trying to be the good guy. Like, he's trying to, like, in the army to become a fighter pilot so that he can go back and save his girlfriend. Like, he's risking his neck to do everything to be a good guy. It just, he's doing it maybe not with the best of intentions. Like, he's stealing this corium or whatever it is, and like he's going through maybe not the best channels, but he's doing it because he's that good guy.
And all get back to her. Like, it's all to get back to her.
Right.
And then it's all to impress her. Yeah, that's true. I guess that is true. I would be interested. I'm interested to see. I hope this gets a sequel. I want to see the movie in the middle, because that's the one.
IMDb lists a Solo too. It's on the. I mean, you know, for what that's worth.
Well, this is the piece of Hollywood that pisses me off is I already saw there's already this big article about like what is Disney going to do to recoup from the failure of Solo, and I'm just like,
failure of that I have no idea that's a
because
thing.
it didn't like blow up the box office, so they were speculating like, did Disney oversaturate the box office because they had like Infinity War, and so like they pitted Solo against the tail end of Infinity War, and then they were, was the film not able to overcome all the rumors of like all the like the set problems that it had, yada yada yada. This whole thing went through, and I'm like, none of this talks about the quality of the film. It all boils down that it just didn't have a really strong opening weekend. Like it nailed the box. And that's the other thing too, is it's like, yeah, it got #1, but it was like half of what they were expecting to get. Well, it still hit fucking #1. Like, and again, none of it discussed the quality of the film, their approach to the storytelling. The fact that I was not looking forward to what's Opie's name? Jesus, Ron Howard.
Ron Howard.
I was not like, I was really, I'm just, I know he makes good films. Like Apollo 13 is fantastic. I love that movie. I just was not looking forward to this because when I heard that he got attached to it, and but then it just came off. It just worked. It was so good. So I just really enjoyed and they needed it to work because this is the first time that they had new actors playing established characters, right? Like, because they know they can't go with CG because nobody reacted well to the Princess Leia CG or the Grand Moff Tarkin CG. So the only other way that you can do it is like, okay, then let's just put real actors, different actors in as those characters. And I think they nailed it. I mean, like even the guy playing Harrison Ford or playing Han Solo, not Harrison Ford. Shit. But he just had just enough nuances where I'm like, yeah, I can totally buy this.
Yeah, it's fine. Like, okay, here, we want you to play one of the most iconic actors of the last 40 years.
Right.
Good luck. And it's like, well, I mean, what do you expect? I mean, I don't know what people walked in expecting. I thought he did fine. I wasn't like...
I literally can't imagine better. I love that guy so much.
Yeah.
Like, I love that character so much. That literally enriched my appreciation of Harrison Ford's character. Like I cannot imagine it being better.
I don't understand why people
wait. I'm sorry. Usually this is not for myself to talk more. Double D. Oh, he can't hear us. Shoot. This was the perfect moment. If you can hear us, Double D, if you can find your shit the bride says about this actor, that would be amazing. Even if it's a few minutes later.
Yeah.
So
I caught him at just the wrong time.
Yeah, so my beautiful bride and I went and saw the movie, and a brief time out with San's kids, and it was absolutely terrific. Oh, here it is. Okay.
Did you find it?
So when we saw Solo, so on the way home, and again, I really did enjoy the movie quite a bit. She did as well, I think. So we get into the car after we leave all the theater and all the people and stuff like that. And I looked at her and I'm like, so, well, what did you think of Solo? And she looks at me, she goes, honestly? And I'm waiting for this, this beautiful rendition of what the movie was all about. And she says, the whole movie, I was just thinking, does that guy really look enough like Harrison Ford? No, he does not.
I think it's on the poster.
Yeah.
Oh, poor guy.
I was waiting for all kinds of insight and thoughts, and shot first and everything, and it was just like, I just had a hard time getting over that piece. So, to go along that line of, it's kind of nice. How do you play Harrison Ford? You can't play Harrison Ford. You can't get a young Harrison Ford.
No.
And
there was and that was one of the things that everybody was worried about, because the rumors were that he was not acting well enough at all, that they had to bring in a coach, an expert in Harrison Ford. Like the one article I read, he was like an expert in Harrison Ford's performances and coached this kid, and I guess that made like a huge difference. There was no point where I was like, oh yeah, that's totally how Harrison Ford would have played it. I totally gave this kid his own like space to be in the character, because it's supposed to be 19 years earlier. Like, I'm not the same person I was 19 years ago. Like,
right.
And that, it just worked for me. Oh man, it worked so well. I loved all of it. Like, I loved the fact that it was not weird. There was a couple moments with Chewbacca because I was like, how are they going to pull that off? How are they going to show that bond being created? Because we've only ever known as Chewbacca being Han Solo's left hand. That's how or right hand, I guess, right? Because he always sits to his right. I'm like, how are they going to establish this bond so that we can believe it? And there's like there's two main scenes where they get to spend time together, like really getting to know each other. The one where like the ship is flying in when they're getting ready to do the job, and they're just at the bottom of the ship right after they took the shower together, and then the one when they're sitting around the fire and like Chewbacca talks about like why and you would think that would be really cheesy, and maybe it's just the Star Wars nerd in me, but like it didn't feel forced at all. They really just did a great job of showing those two becoming best friends, But I think that to me was the biggest challenge of this whole story, and I think they nailed it. Like, I think they really did a good job of showing you how Chewbacca and Han Solo became inseparable with each other.
It was fun to hear him speak. What's the? It's not Wookiees, but Wookiee. Yeah. That was funny. He's like, and honestly, in that moment where he gets thrown into that pit, and they're like, feed
him to the beast.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be the Rancor. I don't know why. I was just like on a different page. I didn't realize it was going to be Chewbacca. I don't know. It's like, if you think about the prequels and how those are meant to kind of fill in gaps in a story that we jump into in 1977, that's not super satisfying. Maybe some stuff in episode 3. Yeah. But for me, every beat of this was super satisfying.
Oh, sure. I loved like getting to see the infantry of the Empire that wasn't stormtroopers, like
sure,
and them trying to take over these worlds and trying to beat the galaxy into submission, basically. It was great.
Yeah, and that all of these stories are retconned a little bit, right? Because they're written 50, I don't know, whenever George wrote it in 75. So what is that? 35 years later? How's my math? I don't know.
That sounds right.
I'm tired.
No. Oh, no.
George Lucas.
No, it's 45.
I don't know why.
Yeah. Get the math teachers in here. Anyway, my point being, there is a chance that
I'm not a math teacher anymore.
I wish I could get that in a GIF, that little like double finger guns.
Yeah. Choo choo. It's retconned a little bit, but it didn't feel forced. I didn't really feel like, they have to explain X. Okay, well, that was kind of. Yep. But it was all just within the confines of him trying to get the girl, which, it's Star Wars. Of course it's going to be about, the hero's adventure. Not in the same way every time, at least I hope not, but it never felt like they had to shoehorn a scene and you're like, what? Why was that scene in there? Why are they?
Yeah.
What's going on there?
No, in fact, the heist. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, if you go, feel free.
Well, I'll just say very quickly about that shoehorn stuff. Like there was not filler for me. Honestly, when there's chases in movies of any kind, I kind of tune out. Like I don't consciously do it, but I'm just like, okay, when's this over? But like when that heist came up in the first act, I guess, where they're trying to, Woody Harrelson and Tandy Newton and that whole and Solo got onto that crew. I just thought it was going to be like something that I would tune out of, but like serious shit went down. Tandy Newton died, and like I was just like, oh shit! Like I needed to go to the bathroom, but I was like, I'm not going to leave because there's character stuff happening in every fucking scene.
Yep.
Like there was no filler in that for me. Sorry, we're going to say a double D.
No, just with the shoehorn, the one thing that I felt forced and the one thing that I just really wish they could have taken a different angle on was how he gets Solo. I just think I thought it was a cheesy, cheap way to have just some random nobody, just the guy that signs people up for the service for military duty to come up with his name. I was like, man, there is so many ways they could have brought that in and made that better. Like he's Han Solo. Like even if we're a pair. Like him and his girl, and they did everything as a pair. And then he realized, like he looks back and he realized she's there, and then he's like, well, I'm Solo.
Yeah.
I just think that there could have been so many better ways to come up with Han Solo. Like that's his name. Like, that's who he is. The guy could have just been like Johnson, like Han Johnson. Like, come on, that's just that was the
asshole, major asshole.
Major. I'm surrounded by assholes.
Yeah,
keep firing, assholes.
This cannot spiral into a Spaceballs.
Oh, that's right. Sorry.
It can always spiral into a Spaceballs discussion. Always. Any episode of Long Short Drink is fair game to spiral into a Spaceballs conversation.
Palmer's got rules.
Yeah.
I like that as a threat.
Yeah.
Or just a maxim to live by. That was the closest it got to
now. What's happening now is happening now.
No. When does this happen in the movie?
Right now.
That reminds me, we're also owed your Rick Moranis speech.
What's that?
We're someday we're owed your Rick Moranis.
And letter. I heard he is. I heard he is coming back. There's again another finger like there's somebody's listening to Long Walk Short Drink. Rick Moranis. I heard Rick Moranis is coming and doing something. He's like dipping his toe back into acting for something.
The timing of that works, right? Like he quit to raise a family and stuff.
Yeah, they're doing an SCTV documentary on Netflix, which means they're probably going to end up getting old SCTV episodes, which is awesome. But I think he's coming back to like contribute to that documentary, which is awesome. I think with the Solo thing, I feel like there were a lot of little things in this movie. I call them fan service, and maybe that's not the right word for them. But I feel like it's things that they helped. I feel like some of them they helped either they just were these little jabs at Lucas, or they were helping to clear up some things that Lucas had left like open-ended. Like the Solo, one of the few things that I've always heard people make fun of him is like it's Luke Skywalker. So he's like he goes out into space and he's Han Solo. That's like the clue that he's always on his own, and so like these are they're kind of like ham-fisted names, So I like that the way that his name comes about is ham-fisted in a sense that the same way that Lucas is like, well, let's call him Solo because he's a smuggler and a criminal. So
that's actually kind of great. And he sort of aspires to that smuggler criminal thing, right? Like he's this much more pure-hearted person than we would have necessarily thought. And like this is how he learns to kind of put up that armor. Yeah, I don't know. That's a great observation. I really appreciate that because I wasn't super bothered by that moment. Like Double D, like it is kind of cheesy.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I accept that. I was like, all right, I pretty instantly just acclimated and wasn't pissed off by it.
Yeah,
I like that version of it quite a bit. It was just like some guy thinking like, all right, well, we got to get you through here. So Solo.
Yeah, I think that there were a few things that really the parsec thing. That was another one that like everybody always made fun of because parsecs is a measurement of distance. So how do you shorten a distance? You can't, like, it's the only ship that made the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs. That's the original line. And it's like, if it's a distance, which is what a parsec measures, there's no way you're going to shorten that. It's 12 parsecs no matter what ship you're in. It just is going to take longer, depending, And I love that they were able to correct that, like, 40-year-old continuity error by saying, like, no, he took a route that no other ship had ever survived. That's how he did it in 12 parsecs.
And I like how everybody blew him off when he was trying to brag about it.
Like, just did Kessel Run in 12 parsecs. Nobody said anything he said. Oh, it's so fantastic.
I love that. Chewie he's like, well, if you round up.
Yeah. There's like, here's what I think about it too, from like maybe like a little higher overview. If my son or daughter is like, hey, I want to see Star Wars, like this would probably be one of the first movies I would show them.
Sure.
I mean, it's fast, it's action packed, there's funny characters, there's exciting, it's slightly scary at points for a young kid. Like I could definitely see this being a movie that I would show them without being like, ignore the really crappy like sand in the vagina line and don't worry about the terrible acting by this person. Like it was all just so well done. I mean,
yeah.
Like I would be happy to show this to anyone and be like, this is a really good Star Wars movie. Why it's getting so much bad press, I just have no idea. It's beyond me. If it just everybody like hops on the heat once people hear negative, it just kind of keeps cycling and cycling and cycling, or
maybe that's it. I mean, that's it. Or maybe they just don't want it to succeed because how can like Disney has so much right now, but
I don't know. It's
hard to deny how good. Like, I mean, this is hands down better than Rogue One, and I loved Rogue One. I really didn't want to put it in the same vein as Last Jedi because I really liked Last Jedi a lot. But I mean, I guess I would put them at equal quality there. I mean, I would agree with that it is a quintessential Star Wars film. You know,
a Star Wars story. Yeah,
it literally, right?
Yeah.
And it shows just like how crime is a second nature to him because he was raised in crime. So like, it's never that he just becomes amoral. It's not that he's a bad guy. He just does what he has to do because that's what he's always done. I think that's really what the movie is it's a good portrayal of that. It's not, and that's where maybe Lucas was having trouble by having Greedo shoot first in the special edition was like, he was trying to portray, it's not that he was a bad person. He was amoral. This like the rebellion gave him morals, gave him an understanding of this is why you do these good things. You know, this is why it's important to do those. And this shows that like why he's amoral. He just does what he has. He's always been a survivor.
Well, I enjoy too, like where you learn. It seems like from the Woody Harrelson character of Beckett that you learn where that seems like the prototype. That's like his Ben Kenobi, right? Like,
yep.
To where he sort of learned how to be this hardened guy with a heart of gold, kind of. I don't know, but yeah. So that was really fun too. Like it still follows in some ways that hero's journey template of a Star Wars movie as well, while still being that kind of anti-hero.
But
I actually didn't even know
a version of it, right? Like,
yeah, but sort of the same too. But like, it not only enriched like how I felt about the character in general, but it makes that moment in A New Hope where he does come through ring that much more true. You know,
sure.
like that's who he is. That's who he's always been. The guy to kind of do the right thing when it comes down to it.
And the movie, I think too, just rewards you to kind of with a little bit. If you have seen the original Star Wars movie and you understand Han Solo's luck or lack thereof, it certainly rewards you in building you up. So for the first like speeder chase, and he turns it sideways and he's going through the building.
Oh yeah,
and gets stuck right at the end. Like you kind of know that's going to happen. Because it's Han Solo, right? Or when they're putting the fuel in the engines to get away from the black hole and the giant beast, and it fails miserably, and then it kicks in. Like you know that's going to happen, right? Because every time they go into hyperspace, it chugs and dies.
And she made that classic noise, the Millennium Falcon noise. They're like, and you're just like, oh, that's the noise. Like everybody becomes the character, even the Millennium Falcon. Like she gets all of that beautiful shielding like ripped off of her in that scene.
Yeah.
So that when it lands on that planet, it's the ugly Millennium Falcon. Like she was such a beautiful ship up to that point, and you're like, when is like, I want to know how she becomes. And you get to see all of that. You like, oh man.
You know what's great too about the connective stuff is like people talk about ships as she often, like that's a thing, but they literally wove into the story that the brain of the Millennium Falcon as we know it is L3, this woman who like evidently had feelings, or this robot woman who had feelings for Lando. I'm looking at IMDb and it's actually L3-37, which I can only imagine is a nod to Kevin Smith somewhere in the universe.
Right? I hope so. I hope so too. 37
in a row. Oh my god. Anyway, that was kind of I was like, where are they going with this robot romance?
Stereo, that was great.
I was a little thrown by that. Like, where are they going with this romance? And she's like, it works. But when she was part of the mainframe or the brain, I was like, oh wow. Again, when like in the way that the prequels don't. Prequels so rarely enrich like the original trilogy. Yep. This one like just hit the nail on the head for me.
And it explains how every time why the Millennium Falcon has that persnickety personality, that like and it's because it's fucking L3, just like, nope, you're not, I don't care what you want, it's my agenda,
I didn't even realize that was a thing in the original trilogy that 3PO or R2D2 mention that the ship has a peculiar personality or a peculiar language. Not until after I saw the movie did I realize, that.
Oh, I didn't know that they even reference it in the original trilogy.
Yeah, there's something along the lines of this ship speaks a different language or something like that.
Gotcha.
And that too, when they tap into the mainframe as other robots, that's extra fun. Like, and this is written by. Sorry, I don't know if you guys know, I'm hoping, but Jonathan Kasdan and Lawrence Kasdan. So like Lawrence Kasdan as of Empire fame, and is that his son? I can only imagine.
I believe that it is his son.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, like these two really knocked it out of the park.
Oh, I mean, nailed it. It's just so like so many good things they tied in. I like that they were able to tie in the other franchises like Rebels and Clone Wars with
how'd they do that?
With the guy at the end who got cut in half at the end of
so they bring in Darth Maul at the very end.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe you can clear this up for me too, Palmer. Like the bride and I were talking. So Sith is an order, right?
Yeah. So he's not a Sith anymore. So at the end of Phantom, because I had to watch a YouTube video to explain how Darth Maul was there, because I've never watched Clone Wars or Star Wars Rebels.
Oh, that's literally Darth Maul?
That's
how can that be Darth Maul?
Right. That's what. No. There's some explanation in Rebels in this television show.
Yeah, in the television show Rebels. So what happens is Darth Maul survives his fight with Obi-Wan, and through his hatred for Obi-Wan Kenobi for cutting him in half and him losing grace with the Emperor, basically, or Palpatine, he uses his rage for Obi-Wan to like survive, basically, and those are robot legs. When he stands up in Solo, they like you can hear all the servos going, like him standing.
I get it. It's like that poetry of Darth Vader essentially being cut in half.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And there's even, and this is the cool thing too, because I don't know if it's in Rebels or if it's in Clone Wars, but because he ends up meeting up with his brother, he becomes a crime syndicate. He starts this crime syndicate. So he's the leader of the crime syndicate that, 3 tiers up from Kira. So there's Kira and then her boss, and then her boss's boss was Darth Maul. And that's because since Phantom Menace, he has slowly built up this crime empire, Crimson Dawn. Is that what it's called? I
believe so.
I think that's what it was called. But there's a point. This is what I'm excited for, because I think ultimately they're going to make the Obi-Wan movie, and that Obi-Wan movie is going to have an elder. Why can't I?
Ewan McGregor.
Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan, right?
That would be amazing.
And I think he's going to fight Darth Maul, because in Rebels, Obi-Wan or Darth Maul and Darth Maul's brother find Obi-Wan on Tatooine and fight him, and Obi-Wan kills Darth Maul's brother, like further enraging him. Like it's all this like huge elaborate like plot. And so this, I think him being exposed in the ending, we're going to get to see all of this subplot, and it's all going to lead to the Obi-Wan story, where we're going to see the like true end of Darth Maul, which that's going to be fucking to get to see an old robot leg Darth Maul fight an old Ewan McGregor Obi-Wan, like that. I mean, I don't know if your dicks are hard, but mine is. Like,
Double D, hit us with some of your favorite bits about this movie.
Oh, well, I think before we get to the favorite bits, sorry, I have to take it down another peg or two. When it's the science guy in me, I think. Like when he flips it on the when they're doing the chase at the beginning and he flips it on the side and he goes through it sideways, I'm like, eh. But what was worse than that, like when the speeder behind him used brakes. Can somebody tell me what brakes on a how do you use brakes on a speeder? That's come on.
Reverse gravity. It's reverse gravity.
No, because it kind of pulls into like a little bit of a slide stop, and I was like, come on. I don't know why that bothered me, but it was kind of like the bombs dropping.
I think if they can make a floating car, they can figure out how to stop a floating car. That's where, again, it's the science teacher in you, but it's this like
I know
it's the math teacher in me. Yeah, I'm gonna use logic to suspend my disbelief. Like
my bride is in the background. She's like, "You actually said that out loud in the theater." Time, so. And she goes,
it sucks being a science teacher. Let me.
If I'm not mistaken, in the theater, she probably goes, "Yeah, there's no way that would happen." Yeah. So she was on board with me. No, oh man, favorite parts. Oh my gosh, there's so many. I thought that it was the whole setup. I would have loved to have seen a little more of that whole red herring thing that they kind of pulled in whatever the shoot, and now I'm not even going to remember it. Not Force Awakens. Oh yeah, Force Awakens, whatever. Where they've got this big side plot or whatever. When Solo went back up with into the final yacht, like you just knew that Beckett was going to be there. And I would have liked to have seen just some other way around that. I think it played well into the story. So I did kind of like that, but I thought it was kind of predictable. But I was okay with that. I kind of like the chase scenes. I thought the heist was great, and I know that you guys are probably talking about that as I stepped away, but just a really neat.
We didn't actually, so we can talk about that for sure.
Oh, okay. What a cool story. And there's, he's like, we're the only ones that know about this. And of course they were not the only ones that know about this. So, and maybe I just missed that part, but where was that leak? Where was that information? How did that information get passed along to the hijackers?
I don't think it's ever fully explained other than they're just trying to stay one step ahead because their whole militia or group of people
rebellion, right,
is made up. They are the seeds of the rebellion. They are ultimately who are going to become the rebellion.
Right.
I think, you know what? I hadn't even thought of like how that stuff was getting leaked because he even says that at one point, like, I thought we were the only, and like,
right.
And the guy gets super angry. He's like, I don't care how they found out. Like, I'm wondering if we're going to find out there is obviously a leaker somewhere in there, right? Who is feeding this information.
Right. Exactly. So, but that was, and I thought that when that piece came up, when he was like, I thought we were the only ones that knew about this. I was under the impression where, if he would have even said like, well, I mean, come on, they're just a couple guys on speeders. You couldn't handle that. To be kind of like, oh, okay, well, he obviously led them on, and he was going to try to take it from whoever he could get it from, but then he just drops it, and there was no...
Yeah.
And I was like, man, if they're the only ones that are supposed to know this, how does that work?
Yeah, no, I think that is going to be a major plot point in the sequel, I think. And I like the fact that they didn't answer everything.
Yeah, I hope that means we get a chance to see another one. It did get a lot of negative press, so we'll see.
I know. And Disney is really just not. They're not taking any risks with this franchise. I feel like with Marvel, they're playing it a little more loose, but with Star Wars, they're just not risking anything. And
yeah.
But think about that though. Like Marvel has been around for, well, Marvel comics have been around forever, but Marvel movies have just been getting good.
Yep.
Star Wars has a fan base that is, you've got 35, 45-year-old dudes that are just think it will just get pissed off, and then they won't spend their money.
Yeah, that's true. And that's exactly it. And
there's always going to be 15-year-olds that'll go to an Avengers movie.
Yep.
So they have to be protective. Like I get that piece. I thought it was a well-written movie. I thought the story was good. The character arc is good. They keep him going as a, as the good guy. When he said, "I've got a good feeling about this," hands down my favorite line in the whole movie.
And just that right there is like that's like you're bringing it all together. Like it goes, because every other time he says it, it's, "I have a bad feeling about this." Yes. You're just like, and it shows
everybody ever in this. Yeah. And all.
Yeah. And it's like so much optimism and just like, it can't always be the rebels fighting the Empire. We need to grow beyond that if this franchise is going to survive beyond the Skywalkers.
Yeah, I agree. That's one of the things that I think freed this movie up, is I didn't feel like, oh, we're gonna be another Death Star and and again, that's fine. Like I just wanted something different. A change up is good. A change of pace is positive. I mean, if Episode 9 rolls around, I'm sure there's going to be a big thing they have to blow up, and I'm sure we're going to find out the Force, and there'll be lightsabers. And in this one, it's like real people trying to survive. You see that, like, Corellia is just a big piece of shit planet, and it's ridden with crime, and it is just real people trying to get by, not the elite, which is what you're watching when you're watching Star Wars. You're watching the elite of the community.
Oh yeah, like the all-stars of the galaxy. That's who you get to see in all the episodes.
If I'm not mistaken, there were no lightsabers.
Right. Except for Darth Maul's at the very end.
That was very.
But I don't even consider that. Like that was
it wasn't in combat or
right.
Yep.
Exactly. I will tell you, that's why I think that if we do have a follow-up, if we have a solo part 2, that better be the darkest Star Wars movie ever.
Yes. I mean,
taking the guy.
Because I want to see Han Solo's optimism taken away from him. That's what we need to see.
Yes, where that shoot first mentality becomes his go-to, because the only reason it was his go-to, the only reason why he shot first that time is because he knew what Beckett was going to do. He had to have that feeling like, look, this is what he's going to do. And so he used that, and it killed him to do it. Like, you could just see the pain and anguish when he did it. Like, he knew when he shot him, when he killed him, that, man, this is hurting me just as much as it's hurting you. Like, I felt like a little piece of Han Solo's optimism, and that good guy died a little bit when he shot first. And then when it's Greedo, he's just like nonchalant, just like, that's just how it is. So
I bet you do.
There's something that happens, and it better be, like, it's got to be dark.
Yeah, you're right. You're exactly right. And I think the next one does need to be that, which is going to be hard with that cast, because there was a lot of comedy, and I know that is one thing they fought really to dial back. That's one of the reasons why the original directors and Lucasfilm did not get along, was because they were really going on ad-libbing and comedy. And, the Kastners, who this guy wrote Empire Strikes Back, he goes to Lucasfilm and says, no, it's all about the way we wrote it. It needs to be the way we wrote it.
But see, the comedy, like in the gambling scenes and stuff like that, bring on the comedy. Like, I mean, that's who Han is too, though. I mean, because he's still got that. He's that smart aleck, wisecracking. I mean, he's right there with it. So keep that comedy. That's fine. It's just, you don't want. Kira,
like he needs his gut ripped out in the next one. Like
yes,
that to happen.
Yes,
like, it can be funny, and we can have Lando and like who we haven't even got to touch on yet. Like Donald Glover, Jesus Christ! I mean, Billy D. Williams. I never thought I would ever be like, Yeah, he was more suave than Billy D. Williams. He was fucking more suave than.
Come on, bro.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Like that. Like just like. I mean, I guess. So this is the other piece that I. This is the other piece that I love is that he has all that confidence and suaveness that Billy D has with nothing to back it up. Like his ship's impounded. He has to cheat to win at the card games. He's like not able to like again. He fails at negotiation. Like, do you see how like percentage and like just like how like the terms of the agreement have been like renegotiated. Pray I don't negotiate like alter further. Like like
while riding a unicycle.
Yeah. Now, right this unicycle. The deal has been altered. Pray I don't alter it any further. That's the line. Yes. Oh man.
Sorry to interrupt, but I'm gonna have to cut my time on LWSD a little short.
You out, buddy?
Yeah. I've been beckoned. I've been summoned to the throne room.
Twinkie, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on, buddy.
I really it was great to be back on, and I'm glad we all had a chance to catch up on some solo. That was nice.
Absolutely. And keep your calendar clear 2 weeks from now, and let's try to do 50 2 weeks from now before we go on hiatus.
That sounds great. I'm going to try to listen to the rest here, but
all right.
We'll catch you guys later.
All right, buddy. All right. Love you. Buddy. Thanks for joining.
So great to talk to you.
Yep. Bye.
Yeah.
Talk more about Lando. I know.
Lando,
you want to share?
Dave, when he said he was just as suave, I saw your skin crawl. So
no, that'll not do.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have no problem with this casting. Let me say that.
Yeah.
When the first moments happened where Lando was on screen, I literally wondered, are they sampling Billy D. Williams' voice or something? Like, I was thrown by that. I wouldn't have anyone else do it. I think for me, the way that Palmer feels about Donald Glover as Lando is the way that I feel about the actor whose name I can't pronounce, Alden.
Oh, who plays Han Solo?
Yeah, I was in love with him. So, but so I certainly wouldn't change it for the world. I think it's perfect. I have a weird sort of thing with Donald Glover that I can't quite sort out. I think it's partially that thing we were joking about before. It's like he's not always the Donald Glover I want him to be, which is so unfair.
Sure.
So unfair, because I don't even know for sure what Donald Glover I want him to be. Honestly, what I think it is that I was introduced to him on Community, and that was a very smiley character, very smiley kind of surface. Not even that's maybe not fair, but so when it comes to something like Atlanta, where he's doing some really groundbreaking work. And then I'd see him get awards and stuff, and sometimes he's real like low key. I would just be like, I want Troy from Community, but that's not really fair. Even on Saturday Night Live recently, the bride and I were watching it, and so we watched the first performance, and we fast forwarded through. I didn't know that she did this, but she fast forwarded through almost the entire second performance, which was that America song.
Oh yeah, This Is America.
That's the name of it. This is America. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that she cut it short. So I basically heard him say underpants, underpants, underpants.
Yeah.
2 other things. And then a girl jump roped and it was over. And
Yeah.
I literally freaked out in a way that made her amused. Like, this doesn't count as music. And then literally the next day the internet blew up. And she's like, yeah, I fast forwarded through the first half of that. And I was like, oh, okay.
Not anyway, for any other reason that she just fast forwarded, right? Like,
well, literally by accident. Yeah, she didn't.
Okay.
But so I just saw him like dancing around, and say underpants, underpants, underpants. A girl danced in a jump rope, and then the internet blew up. And I was like, why is this happening? So I have a slightly complex relationship with trying to understand this guy's accolades and stuff. But essentially, I like the dude. I would cast no one else as Lando. I loved everything he did. I love that thing where he's like kind of like recording his Life and Times.
Yeah. That was very Shatner for me. That's probably one piece of his like character that I didn't like. I think that's where he took it almost too far. I did not picture Lando being that full of him. Like, maybe
yeah, Billy D's not off doing that. Like,
I never would have pictured Billy D's Lando going on and like recording his memoirs. But when you think about it though, like Billy D's Lando had gotten to the point where he didn't need to because he was the king of that entire empire. Right. You know what I mean? Like, he's recording his memoirs because he knows he's the king, but nobody else does. And so he's recording this because he knows how important it is, and everybody else will realize how important this is at some point in the future. You know?
Sorry. It's so funny that you say that after our Cabin Kids episode and after I've spent like 2 days digitizing things from 20 years ago. Just like
same thing. Yeah, exactly.
So maybe I relate, and that's why I don't like it. I'm like, hey, bro.
I would highly
recommend later you're gonna feel differently.
I didn't know Donald Glover from Community. I've never seen Community. My first interaction with Donald Glover is his stand-up it was on Netflix. I don't know if it's still on Netflix. But Comedy Central recorded it. It is fantastic. It's phenomenal. And that stand-up was enough where I'm like, this guy is a comedic genius. I'll watch anything that he's in. And then I listened to the first or second Childish Gambino album, and that was really good. He is just talented. It's ridiculous how talented he is.
He's a staggering talent.
Like, it is like, and like triple threat, like a legitimate triple threat, and like just I mean it's ridiculous how good his talent is, and he has a way of communicating his message that is evocative and just good stuff.
Yeah, that whether it's This Is America or whatever. When I saw that video, I was blown away like everyone else. I couldn't believe it.
Like I said, like we got back from seeing the midnight show of Solo, and then got a little busy, and I'm pretty sure Ash and I both were just picturing Donald Glover the entire time. So,
by the way, if that stand-up is weirdo, it is currently on Netflix, and I know that Netflix giveth in, as Dave says.
Netflix giveth
away, but it is, yeah.
It is fantastic.
I want to hear more from Double D about stand-up. Always.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can talk stand-up all you want.
Have you seen that? Have you watched that stand-up?
No, I haven't, but I did see a stand-up that you've got to check out. Oh my gosh, it was just spectacular. It's like a 4-part series of stand-up. It was just spectacular. British guy that did it. Now his name is gonna leave me.
Jim Jeffries or
no, it was it was weird. It was kind of a I'll think of it in a minute and then I'll tell you what it is. But it is definitely worth watching. Absolutely hysterical. It's like 4 hour and 10, hour and 15-minute shows just all in a row. James Acaster, that's who it is.
I haven't heard
James
that.
Acaster. It is terrific. Absolutely stellar. But I don't want to get too far off Solo because I know it takes a long time to turn the ship around.
It does take a long time to turn the ship around.
The Millennium.
But
did the Castle run 12 parsecs?
So yeah.
Oh, you're doing Chris Walken auditioning as Han Solo.
That's right.
The classic.
It happened.
It did happen. That spawned one of the best Saturday Night Live sketches ever.
Yeah.
And I will say that I loved that piece, how he and Chewbacca had that little moment between when he's like 12 parsecs, and Chewbacca's like, what? Like, wait, no, it wasn't 12.
You always round down, dude.
Well, you round down.
Always round down, man.
Yeah. That was just so terrific because, and again, as a science nerd, parsecs not what that's for, but it is so cool that that's all part of the Star Wars.
So you might have been gone for that part, but that was a fan redemption in the sense that they because parsecs measure distance, not time.
Of course.
And so when he originally said in episode 4 about how it's the ship that made the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs, for 40 years, fans have been like, oh, that's a big continuity error because parsecs measure distance, not time. And how can you shorten the distance between 2 points? And he did it because he took a shortcut that no other ship had done. So that's how he did it in 12 parsecs. Like that, George Lucas should be like, oh, finally, thank God. Thank you for clearing that up for me.
I'm calling bullshit because if we go back to the last Force Awakens or whatever, when they're coming off the red herring, when Finn and Hope or whatever, Rose, whatever that convoluted love story was about, when they're coming back, he said that it's like they were traveling like 20 parsecs. This ship really can fly, or this ship really can move.
They fucked it up there, but I'm telling you, this one in Solo that's how he did it in 12 parsecs, because he did it in a shortcut. He flew through that. That's what that whole giant
maelstrom.
The maelstrom, that giant creature, the Lovecraftian, that's the word I was looking for. It's like the great old one living in the center of the universe, like living off of a black hole, basically. That's why no other ships had survived. I thought that was it was just as good. It was just as redeeming, because he sounds like an idiot. That's what the fans had all because they're like, oh, Han Solo is he's schmoozing. He doesn't even know what he's talking about. He's like, oh, I made the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs. But then you find out, no, he really did do it in 12 parsecs, because everybody else was taking the roundabout way on the trip. He cut through right the middle,
Yeah. I like it better as a science goof. I think that's, I didn't have any problem with that. I just loved how Chewbacca, and he had that moment where Chewbacca's calling him out. Like, no, come on, no. And he's like, always round down.
Always round down, man.
That's just a glimpse into who Han Solo becomes.
Yep.
It's just that he's that schmoozing, he's that hustler. Guys, like when he tries to talk him out of the, when he talks him out of the 2 different factions, when he's got the beast that he's smuggling, and in the
that's in episode 7.
7.
Force Awakens. He's because it's what's gang's name is so awesome. It became a meme. Here, I'll look that up.
So, but I just thought that, that's just a brief little glimpse into who Han becomes, and that's just, that's that optimistic Han. That's, he's the good guy, he's the positive guy. So he still keeps a little bit of that those core values, but Han too has got to be, dark, dreary, just abysmal.
The Goovian Death Gang, I think, is one of them. Kanji Club.
There you go.
I never borrowed any money from Kanji Club. Well, why don't you tell that to Kanji Club?
Yeah.
Kanji Club's right.
He's like, guys.
Oh, guys. God, I love that. I love the whole, he's like, you're 190 years old. You look fantastic.
I know, yeah.
He's like, when did you learn how to fly? And that shot, it's they make it a point to get these certain beats. They get the first time that Han Solo and Chewie meet each other, and then the first time that they really start figuring out that they're they have things in common.
Yeah.
And then the first time that they're flying the Millennium Falcon together, and it's just I get so many chills, because their hands together are going into hyperspace and flipping the switches, and Chewie starts flipping switches, and just that's so good. That to me was total fan service.
Oh yeah, when Kira backed that seat up, I was literally fist pumping, waiting for it, and then Chewie just slides right in, and he pulls up. I was like, "That's it."
Yep.
What I'm talking about.
Oh, is it so? I mean, it was good. Such a great movie. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It didn't have any like Leia in space moments for me. So
likewise.
Yeah.
And I don't want to overstep too that at the very beginning, the love story between Han and Kira, is they don't go back and show them dating and show them like all of this stuff, like all this lead up. Like you don't need that. Just when he walks up and says, "This is how we're gonna get out," and the joy in her face and that like moment of this, now we can fulfill our dream. That was enough. And they didn't have to belabor it. They didn't have to draw that out. And I thought they did a great job. Like when they're separated, when that door closes and they're separated, you knew that Han was losing a big part of who he was. Who he, this woman that he loved and, swearing that he's going to get back to her. And it doesn't matter how he's going to do it. But it didn't take, 45 minutes of
You didn't have to watch Uncle Ben die again.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. I thought that was, I think that's understated, that piece was done well enough that it was just get in, get out. And they had, the sunlight hit and they had a little bit of that action there and how he escaped. And, he's got the rock and they're like, no, that's just a rock. And he's like, and then he like throws it, of course, which
you just made that noise with your mouth. Yeah.
So, but it was terrific. All of that was terrific, and they didn't belabor it. They didn't make it longer than it had to be. It was not a long walk, short drink. It was.
It was right there, right where it needed to be. Yeah, no, I mean, I totally agree, and I think that's Marvel really learned that lesson of we don't need to have the exposition. These are, they know these characters. We talked about Mad Max earlier and Fury Road. I mean, Fury Road, even for if you know the Mad Max franchise, Fury Road takes a complete 180 off of what you're anticipating, and you are dumped into this world 25 years later than what you're used to. And it's going 100 miles an hour right from the first frame. It spends no time on exposition. You're just thrown into the wolves. And I think that it's one of those, it's that thing of don't underestimate the intelligence of your audience. Like, we're invested in this story. We know, like, we're not going to go see Han Solo, a Star Wars story, without not seeing any other Star Wars movie, right? And it's hard to have, there's only like a couple other Star Wars movies you could see that don't have Han Solo in them where he's a major player. So I like the fact that they realize that and say, okay, then let's just go. We know he's from Corellia, we know he's from this, so let's just jump right in at that point. And let's see where he becomes Han Solo, not where he becomes a human being. Like we know he has something that led to that point,
right?
But let's see where he becomes Han Solo, and they just focus on that, which is great.
So that's a great point, because it's like the opposite of the prequels, right?
Right.
Like
yes,
that could have been one movie. Probably a strong one movie.
Yes.
Maybe not three.
The 70-minute Topher Grace cut of the prequels. That's what I want. That's the prequels that I want.
Yeah. But even that, like Double D says, like, you don't need to go back to when Han Solo was a kid.
Right.
You just need to figure out that you just need a little bit more about that moment where he became who he was.
Right.
No child actors.
No.
Yeah. No child actors.
No bad CG making somebody look younger or any of that crap.
No. This was pitch perfect for me.
Yeah. Oh.
All right, well, gentlemen, I will bow out if you guys have a few more of your bits or beep.
No, I think we got everything. Let's just wrap. Are you, Dave? You got anything else?
No, I'm more than satisfied.
Absolutely, me too. Go see Solo. It's fantastic. I would highly recommend it. I think the rest of us would as well. Double D, we didn't get to catch up with you, but we're going to catch up on 50.
That's right.
You're
That's
gonna
right.
50.
We're an episode away. We'll make that happen.
Yeah, next episode, we'll get to catch up with Double D. We'll get to catch up with Moto. We got to catch up with Twinkie tonight. Twinkie, thank you for joining us. Sorry you had to bail early. Double D, thank you for joining us for your insights on Solo. I'm glad that was able to work out. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it.
Pleasure. My pleasure.
If you were going to get to come on or not. Thank you, beautiful wife, for allowing you to come on for this evening for this little discussion.
She was chipping in most of. I don't know. You guys didn't hear, but I heard it most of the time. She's got other insights, but we'll have to have her on if she wants to share them.
Oh yeah, she's more than welcome. And I'd start putting the bug in her ear for 2 weeks from now on the 20th for episode.
Yeah, 50. Oh, that'd be a great 50th.
Yeah,
there we go.
Yeah. So, Dave, you got anything else?
No, I'm just so pleased to be talking to you, gentlemen.
Absolutely.
This was, so great.
Thank you. Let me do this. Let's do all the spiels because we didn't do them at all for the whole episode. So, search Long Walk Short Drink in any of your favorite podcasting apps, Google Play Music, iTunes, Stitcher, any of those. Long Walk Short Drink will bring us up. Subscribe on there. Go to LWSD Pod. You can subscribe there. Go to YouTube. We would really like it. Even if you subscribe in one of those other places, please go to YouTube. Subscribe on YouTube because we're so close to our 100 subscribers that once we get that, we get our unique URL, which will make it really easy for people to find us on YouTube. So if you could, that would be great. Whether or not you like listening to the audio ones or the YouTube ones, I recommend the YouTube just because like we still have 2 viewers watching us right now. Thank you so much for sticking with us for the long haul. You can see us live while we record these episodes on YouTube, as well as if you watch the released episodes that Dave trims down, you'll see all the video that goes along with that. Head over to audibletrial.com/LWSD to get your free 30-day trial and free audiobook. Ring the bell, subscribe. And Twitter. Follow us at LWSD Pod. I think that's everything. Did I miss anything?
That's great. Yeah, I'm gonna tweet that the Aerosmith pump art that you just
for
this episode. I've never seen that. Some fucked up shit. Trucks humping.
Awesome.
All right.
Gentlemen, thank you.
Double D, thanks so much for joining us. Send our love to your beautiful wife. Dave.
Yeah. Get her
always
on the
a
mic.
pleasure.
Always a pleasure, sir.
Yeah.
Send
love to your beautiful wife as well.
Hey, that's my girl. Don't you touch her.
I will this is Palmer signing off.
This is Dave signing off from Northfield.
Double D signing off as well.
We'll see you guys later. Have a great evening. Thanks for joining us. Long Walk Short Drink, episode 49.
Cheers, Long Walker.